It is time for the Go Hour, and that is presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U. Olin Buchanan with us here in the morning, looking at the portal, trying to figure out linebackers and the future of A&M football. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I saw a linebacker out of Tulsa, Justin Wright, who had 70-something tackles, 10.5 for loss. I wonder if A&M's going to contact that guy. Avery Helm, a cornerback from Florida, who just happens to be from Fort Bend Marshall.
We like that place.
Yeah. So I wonder if the Aggies are going to be contacting him.
Well, this would be the weekend to really start that up, right?
Yeah, I think Avery Helm would probably be a real nice fit in the Texas A&M secondary.
So I'm going to ask you, and we'll open it up to the A&B text line at 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150, A&B, a College Station branch of the Amarillo National Bank, Good Texas Banking. The website is anb.com. I'm going to ask you, what do you think the headlines are going to be on Monday morning, considering we got a lot of people visiting campus this weekend, making their visits here from the portal and some high school kids as well, and considering the A&M has not hired their offensive coordinator just yet, what do you think the talk is going to be come Monday?
Oh, gosh. That's why haven't they signed anybody? Why haven't, hopefully it's that, Anthony Hill has committed and Tony Mitchell has committed over the weekend and Taviano, hopefully all those things happen.
All the dominoes start falling in our favor about time.
That Avery Helm has come in through the transfer portal as well as some other guys, and Jimbo Fisher has an offensive coordinator.
Hopefully, yeah. So do you think Monday morning? I don't know.
I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I don't know either. And it makes me, I understand that these things never happen as quickly as we want it to happen. I'm sure when you were, figuring out if you're going to come work for TexAgs, it probably wasn't an overnight thing, or maybe it was, but for me, it was a little bit of a process.
Yeah, for me, it was different. You had a job.
You didn't.
Not a job in media, right?
Right.
So, in fact, I wasn't at a very good spot to negotiate like you were. So, but, who knows? I mean, you would love for decisions to be made, even if you disagree with them, because at least
right
where you're going. But, you got guys that know what they're doing in charge.
Yeah. And
I wouldn't be surprised, quite frankly, if there's an agreement already met.
Or close to one.
And it's just a matter of finding the right time to announce it.
Yeah, and I do know that if you stick it with TexAgs.com, you'll get all that information as soon as it does become official. And Billy's been all over it. He had a nice post yesterday. Hopefully everybody can go check it out. Go to TexAgs.com on the premium board. You'll see the most recent posting from Billy that I think he posted last night, probably around midnight or so. I was definitely asleep. I woke up to it. It was good read out there. So all I think we can really say at this point, OB, is whatever you think it is, it's probably not. And that keeps changing, right? Because there was a point where everybody thought it was going to be this guy. And then a couple days ago, it's going to be that guy. And now it's like, maybe not those guys, but maybe this guy.
Yeah, we've heard Lincoln Riley's brother. We had heard the guy up at Baylor. And it sounded like the guy at Baylor, Grimes, was like the leader on the back stretch.
Yep.
And now coming up on the inside is Bobby Petrino or Dan Mullen. So this has been crazy, all the names that are surfacing. We thought, Phil Longo. Well, no, he's out of it.
He's out of the mix now.
He's out of the race.
Yeah, look, I just trust that they're going to make the right hire. And if that's one of those names, great. If it's somebody else, great. I sometimes I don't think you need a major shift in philosophy. You just need a kind of a different lens, because there's a lot to work with here. And I'm not just saying that from a talent perspective. I'm just saying what you can get done at Texas A&M.
Well, I think that having someone else call the plays and Jimbo not having to do so many things at once, that in itself will lend to improvement.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that they would be well served if they can find somebody that can, I don't know, add something new to the offense.
A new wrinkle or two, right?
Yeah, and
More than one.
just a new. You don't want to be panicked, right?
Right.
What's the be quick but don't hurry, and I think A&M could benefit from an offensive coordinator that likes to move things along a little bit faster.
Sure.
Than Jimbo does. I'd love to see him stop every play, snapping the ball with like 2 seconds left on the play clock, right?
Right.
And always not having to figure out, hey, do we have the right personnel in for this play? Oh, no, got to take the timeout. And I'd love to see A&M be able to get into the second quarter and the fourth quarter with like 3-4 minutes to go and still have all the timeouts.
Yeah.
Little things like that I think would really be beneficial.
We'll definitely break it all down with Billy in the 10 o'clock hour. Looking forward to chatting with him because the way this stuff works, there's no news, and then there's a flurry of news. So we'll see.
That's for sure.
When 10 o'clock rolls around. I didn't watch the Baker Mayfield performance.
I did.
But I saw a lot of headlines about it. What a final drive.
It was crazy. Of course, I'm sitting next to someone who's a big Raiders fan.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. And just frustrated. But, man, you talk about giving a game away. But, Raiders have a tendency to do that. And Mayfield.
He looked good, all things considering, right?
Yeah. And, they got some nice breaks on some penalties where you go, what? Like one guy, it's a big play because the Raiders had gotten a sack, I think, on that final drive. And it's a 19-yard loss. And they have no timeouts. And some guy from the Raiders, the Mayfield's trying to, I guess, rush the ball back to or he at least has the ball and wants to get it back to the officials so they can snap it.
Right.
And some guy from the Raiders goes over and slaps the ball out of his hand. Well, that's a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
That's the game.
I'm going to stop the clock. I'm going to give you 15 yards. I'm always incredulous how so many talented football players do so many stupid things. I mean, just why are you thinking about that and not thinking about just getting back and ready to play the next play?
If that play doesn't happen,
the Raiders win.
Yeah.
They're looking at, again, they scored the touchdown with less than 10 seconds. So you essentially gave them 24 yards. You gave them a quarter of the field by negating the 9-yard sack,
right,
and 15 yards plus. You gave them a first down. I mean, it was a selfish moment from a bonehead football player. Why you do stuff like that, I'll never understand.
One of the things I always tell my boys when they're playing, I tell my daughters the same thing: risk versus reward, right? And that goes for being too aggressive on a certain play. That goes for that kind of stupidity. You're up 30-0. You make that play, you're going to get in trouble for it, but it's not going to cost you the game. But with the game on the line, you do something stupid like that, you're about to get the W. You're moments away from getting the W, and now you give them new life. So you lose. That's it.
In the old days, because I don't know how you can coach anymore. NFL coaching, I think, is almost getting like the NBA, where you're more of a slave to your players, or you're more of an employee to your players than they are to you, right? And you answer to your employees more than they answer to you. And in the old school coaches would have been all over that guy. Sit your ass down, and you're whatever. You gave away a game for what reason? Yeah,
yep. And by the way, Sean, yes, we are here. Sorry, Sean is at the mothership, and he's communicating with us. Yes, we are here, buddy. Thank you so much for doing your work out there at the mothership. The number again, 979-693-1150. I do want to bring up one quick thing before we say hello to Caroline there at the News and Social Center. The Edge Cooper stuff yesterday on social, I guess it was on Snap. I didn't know people still use Snap, but on Snap, posting that he was potentially going to be going in. Well, I think he said, Aggieland, thanks for everything. And
I thought he tweeted something like that a long time ago, or maybe it was on Snap just several days ago.
Yeah. Well, yesterday on Snap, he put a post in there, and he has not entered the portal as of last night. that all being said, don't want to lose him either, man. You're dangerously thin there in the linebacker spot.
Yes. Don't get what I'm about to say wrong. I absolutely hope Edgerrin Cooper remains part of this football team. I think there's a lot of talent and ability there. That said, and maybe we're going to start seeing a lot of this as players who knows, maybe there's some negotiations for better NIL deals coming up. I don't know. Maybe not, maybe. But the linebacker play I saw last year, I'm not going to crawl out on the ledge over anybody. So, oh my gosh, how are we going to make it without this linebacker? Because I didn't see good consistent linebacker play. He had 61 tackles in 11 games.
But one way of looking at it, because I hope he comes back.
Don't get me wrong. I think
he's a really good player. But sometimes I do think certain players are better casted in a different role. So let's just say that he's your second or third best linebacker. Now you're in business.
I want him back on the team.
Yeah.
I think he's probably best served as being an outside linebacker in a 4-3, even though they're going to run a 4-2-5. But, I would want him back without a doubt. I would hope that if he's looking for an NIL deal that's better than what he has, I hope he gets it. I want Edgerrin Cooper on the team. That said, there are those, oh, my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, what did you do last year? I mean, you've got to upgrade linebacker play. And maybe that's Edgerrin Cooper continuing to progress and getting better.
Yep.
Maybe it's putting him in a different kind of role that better suits him. It could be that. And I like that he's fast, and I like that he hits hard when he gets there. But there's got to be some better play of filling holes and getting off blocks and all those things. Quite frankly, I'm just glad right now that Martrell Harris is because what little I saw from him, I really liked.
Very impressed.
There's a guy that, but regardless of whether Edgerrin Cooper stays or goes, you've got to address that need through recruiting and through the transfer portal, regardless of whether he's there or not.
All right. All right. Let's go to the News and Social Center. Caroline Turner. Good morning, Caroline.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
How are you?
Tired, but finals are almost over, so holding on to that last bit of it.
Yeah, it took you a moment to think. You're like, I think I'm tired. I think I am. What's going on in your world?
For me, nothing much. But yesterday, 3 of our outstanding Aggies were named to the SEC All-Freshman team. This was Evan Stewart, Shamar Stewart, and Matthew Wyckoff. Evan had 53 receptions for 649 yards with 8 starts in his debut season, with 64.9 yards per game average, which was good for 8th among all receivers in the SEC. Then Shamar made 6 starts while playing in all 12 games of his first season, and he was good for 23 tackles and 3.5 for loss. And Wyckoff, the redshirt freshman, played a majority of his games at center. He and the O-line cleared the way for one of the top running backs in the SEC, who came away with 1,000 yards this season and was one of the top scorers in the league.
All right.
Talking about everyone's favorite, Devon Achane, along with Antonio Johnson and Nick Constantino, earned all SEC accolades announced by the league on Tuesday afternoon.
Yep.
Super awesome.
Yep. Love all those guys.
I do.
Especially A-Chain. So sad that he's leaving. Has Antonio made it his intentions public yet?
I don't think he has.
Yeah, he's probably going to.
Yeah, you a long time ago and recently, you just kind of assume that elite players like that are going to go to the NFL.
And if they don't, it's a bonus.
Then it's just like, wow, all right. Because we talked about how thin linebacker is. Defensive backs, and with Jalen leaving and talking about cornerback specifically, like you've got some spots there you got to fill as well.
You do. And but you're so excited about guys like Groves Killebrew and Smoke Bowie and Bobby Taylor. And then you're like, oh no, they're going to have to play. Now, wait a minute. You were all over yourself. Not you personally.
Yeah.
But you Aggie fans were just over the moon when these guys signed. And now you're having all this angst because they might play.
Well, I'm gonna ask this question, and we can open it up to the text line when we come back here on TexAgs Radio. Does A&M need to get older? Because I know that youth and the high school way is the way you build a program. But when you rely on it as much as A&M had to this year, there are issues. So we'll talk about that. How much older does A&M really need to get next season to have the kind of season that we want them to have? Right now we're talking Milliken Reserve, farm-to-table community, homes, trails, farms, wide open spaces. And their mission is to build a healthy community around nature, dedicated to the conservation and a healthy community. You go out there, you just enjoy nature, go for a nice, beautiful walk, fish, just enjoy it all. Go through the trails. You'll love it. 30 miles of trails, homes, 2,600 acres of open space. And that network of trails is throughout a very wooded landscape that's got walking paths, equestrian paths, creeks, ponds, gathering areas. A great place for families to cherish for generation after generation. They've got all the species you can imagine out there in the preserved woods. You've got plentiful white-tailed deer, songbirds, rabbits, and turtles. You can go hiking there, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails. It's just a great place to go enjoy and be a part of nature. The website to be a part of it all is millikenreserve.com. Again, that's millikenreserve.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Winter Wonderland at Travis Fields is this Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. Come out to this free, family-friendly event for fun activities for everyone to enjoy. Living Hope Bryan presents the Bryan Midtown Christmas Festival this Saturday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Join them for campfires, live music, games, and treats. The Taylor Check Chorus is performing at Caldwell Brethren Church on Sunday during worship at 10:30 a.m. You and your family are invited to this special Christmas performance. Brian High's organization, Vikings Kicking Out Tobacco, invites you to Jingle Bell Jump, a charity event benefiting Family Promise. Come out to Jumping World on Saturday, December 17th from 5 to 9 p.m. Get into the holiday spirit with Christmas 97.3 FM, playing your favorite holiday hits 24/7 through the entire holiday season. Christmas 97.3 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
The George Bush Presidential Library and Museum is excited to welcome all visitors to tour the museum. Visit Mandela, the official exhibition that explores the life of one of the world's most famous freedom fighters and political leaders. Building Bridges, George Bush and the End of Apartheid explores U.S. diplomatic efforts during the final years of the apartheid regime. Looking Back, a George H.W. Bush Presidential Library and Museum retrospective from exhibits over the past 25 years. For more information, visit bush41.org.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's our 12 Deals of Christmas going on right now at your local Big Deal store. Hi, Jenny here, and I've been busy picking out the very best deals for you this holiday season. Each day is a different offer, and we have limited quantities, so run to your computer or smartphone and grab it quick.
Today's big deal is 50% off gift certificates from Low Price Auto Glass. Get the deal before it's gone at AggielandBigDeals.com.
On Sports Talk, Chip visits with actor Andy Buckley, who played David Wallace on The Office. Buckley told him about meeting Will Ferrell for the first time.
And I had never met him. He said, the show's so funny this year. He said that, and he starts referencing things. So I was literally just like a guy who's a stockbroker, and I've been watching Will Ferrell forever. I am a division manager.
That's pretty cool.
Sports Talk, connecting with legends, weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I did have that tease. Oh, wow. These text messages coming in. Oh, man, I don't know. All right.
I'm curious now. What message would come in that would leave you dumbfounded like that?
Well, it's too much. I'll just read the text message that doesn't make me laugh. Hi, my name is Harold, even though it says Brad and Brian. I think, period, Aggies should have stayed in the Big 12 because they're not SEC material. Okay. What's your response to that? I think you had a good one during the break.
When A&M was in the SEC, you had Colorado, which is in the Pac-12 now. You had Nebraska, which is in the Big Ten now. You had Missouri, which is in the SEC now. You have A&M, which is in the SEC now. You had Oklahoma, which will be in the SEC, and Texas, which will be. So half the teams that were in the Big 12 are no longer either there or
they're on
the way out.
Yep.
But yeah, go back to that dying league. I don't even know how to respond other than to say that those that want A&M in the SEC or back in the Big 12 are like the guy that's afraid to ask the pretty girl out on a date because he can't stand the idea of being the possibility that you'll be rejected, instead of being the guy like, hey, you know what? I'm going for it all. Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
I'm asking the homecoming queen out. I
think we are still in close enough territory to 2020 to be able to say A&M has done well in the SEC. Now, don't get me wrong. If we're looking at 2020 in 6 years, that's embarrassing, right? If that's but I still think a couple years removed from getting robbed of the playoffs is still showing that you are SEC worthy.
To say that they're not, that they haven't been competitive. In fact, I saw one study, and if you'd taken A&M since A&M had joined, that's probably for this year, obviously, but it's that they were like third or fourth winningest team in the SEC.
Yeah.
Since they had joined. So that's just, it's just a guy with a defeatist attitude.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's get a couple more, Caroline.
Okay, we have starting players hitting the portal for more money than A&M is willing to give. Such a bad byproduct of NIL. There are a ton of negatives to it, but starters leaving is one I didn't see coming. Was more worried about unproven, talented guys leaving.
Well, first of all, Edgerrin Cooper hadn't left yet. And he might. But who's the starter that they've lost? I mean, the full-time starter. Who's the full-time starter that has gone into the transfer portal?
Let me, because Tamisha got hurt.
He started 2 games in his career.
Right.
Okay?
Andre White.
Who was he starting at the end of the year? Because they sure were playing Edge and Chris Russell a lot.
Yeah. But I would say
who's been here 4 years.
Whom else? Let me try to think. No.
And what I say about linebacker play, are you really going to say, oh, we're not paying guys enough in the NIL because you lost a linebacker when you had some of the worst linebacker play in the country? Do I need to remind anybody where A&M ranked in run defense nationally?
Please don't remind me. Don't do that.
And not all of that is on the linebackers, but a lot of that comes back to linebackers not filling holes.
Yeah. Yep. What else, Caroline?
Okay, we have one from Bayou Ag that says, Olin, do you think we can move Enya White and Overton to LB? They played it some during the season.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Shoot, did you see in some, I guess, against LSU, they had Overton as a spy?
Yeah.
I don't know that you want to move him to linebacker all the time. But, yeah, usually when they change positions, I think they might have done this with Edgerrin Cooper, you take a safety and turn him into a linebacker, right? But but you see it in the NFL all the time. You see a guy who's a college defensive end becomes a stand-up linebacker. But if they do that, that typically means you're running a 3-4. And I don't mind a 3-man front if you have the personnel for it.
There you go.
And I don't, so that's a possibility within our way. He does have good quickness. He almost had a big interception one game. I guess against LSU, but I would still hope that they'll do whatever they can to keep Edgerrin Cooper. Hopefully, they'll land Antonio Johnson and Anthony Hill, and forgive me for
the Oklahoma State kid.
Get the Oklahoma State kid. Forgive me for forgetting the guy from Houston, from Katy, who's committed. Sanford.
Oh, Damian Sanford.
Get him in, and I like what little I've seen from Martrell Harris, and be able to get those guys in,
a couple of depth guys,
a couple of portal guys, and keep Edgerrin if you can. And maybe the linebacker situation doesn't look as bleak as you think.
Well, I would think if you're a linebacker, I think A&M is a prime destination because you can come and start and compete to start. A lot of times when these guys enter the portal, they're looking to go start somewhere.
Right.
And what A&M in many positions, there aren't a lot of starting positions out there per se. There are some, but like I can see why a quarterback would not pick A&M to come because you've got
You're not going to start in front of Wigman.
Right. But I could see why if you are a linebacker or even a cornerback, like, heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So we'll see if that works out for him.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back. I do want to get into that question that I had asked you a little bit ago. Does A&M need to get a little older this year through the portal? We'll talk about that. But right now, we're talking Fargo's Pit Barbecue, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. They're open 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. They are closed on Sundays. They are closed on Mondays. Call them up when you are ready to get your grub on. You want to be hungry? You want to get your eat on? You go to Fargo's. They are in Bryan, as I've mentioned, 979-778-3662, 979-778-3662. They sell out of their specials so often, so you better call them up, and Maurice will take that call for you, and then you've got Alan and Belender that will take care of you when you go to the counter out there. Today is a Friday.
Fish day.
How do you memorize this?
Well, everybody eats fish on Friday, right?
Well, this
Not
is true.
everybody, but a lot of people.
A lot of people do eat fish on Friday.
You know what tomorrow is?
Oh, do I know it? The beef ribs.
And
remind me.
Rib tips.
Oh, the rib tips.
Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Okay, let me ask you another day. Let's see how good you are at this game. What do they have on Wednesday?
Pork chop.
Nope, chopped beef on a baked potato.
Okay. Chop. I knew it was chop something.
What about Thursday?
Pork chop.
There you go. And Saturday, beef ribs and?
Beef tips. Rib tips.
Pork ribs and tips. You got it. See, the OB does it. So
because I've eaten there so many times.
So good.
Yeah.
Very good. Without a doubt, the best barbecue in town. That's their trademark because it's so true. 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. It's Fargo's.
He's gone to L.A. to interview Hugh Jackman, Brad Pitt, and Mark Wahlberg. Now he hangs out with Billy and O.B. It's David Nuño with TexAgs Radio on the Zone.
This Christmas, love beyond. The Salvation Army, in partnership with Bryan Broadcasting, presents Angel Tree. There are still angels to adopt on the Angel Tree inside Blue Baker restaurants, the Post Oak Mall food court, or online at salvationarmybcs.org. But hurry, time is running out. Select your angels, shop for their gifts, and return them by Monday, December 12th. Join us to show families in need that love exists beyond hardships. For more information or to volunteer, visit salvationarmybcs.org.
Brazos Running Company has moved to Century Square. Same passion for running and fitness and for finding the right shoe that fits your stride and style. Now with so much more. In addition to the sought-after running shoe brands like On and Hoka, Brazos Running Company now carries Birkenstock shoes, and they are the only place in town to carry Viore clothing, one of the hottest athletic wear brands in the country. Both make great gifts. So come shop Aggie-owned and operated Brazos Running Company, now located in Century Square below Star Cinema Grill in College Station.
Due to the Texas heat, humidity, not to mention the multiple hail and windstorms, most roofs don't last their full lifetime. But since 2006, AmeriStarRoofing.com has been helping Texans protect their homes from age and storm-related damages, and they have multiple adjusters on staff working directly with your insurance company to ensure that you get the coverage you need to make your home look new again. Call Ameristar Roofing now to schedule your free roof inspection, 979-446-9874. AmeriStarRoofing.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Vanderwood with Veribank. Veribank is continuing to grow in the Brazos Valley with a brand new full-service banking center on Highway 6 in front of Academy. We have a team of genuine bankers specializing in personal and business banking, wealth management, and investor real estate lending ready to serve you. Veribank is here to help you succeed financially, and you can bank on it.
Visit verabank.com today. That's VERA bank.com. Verabank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
WPI needs a service technician to diagnose and repair heavy equipment for their Bryan location. This full-time position comes with a company vehicle, insurance, 401k, paid holidays, paid vacation, and competitive pay if you or someone you know is hardworking, dependable, and looking for full-time employment in the construction equipment repair industry. Apply in person with Jesse James at WPI in Bryan, Highway 21 East at Marino Road. WPI, an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, it's Keyshawn Johnson from Keyshawn J. Will and Max. They told us we can give away anything we choose. So, we're giving away cash.
You want to talk about money?
We're giving away $10,000 a day. And all you have to do is listen to us for a chance to win.
You can win $2,500 an hour every hour, weekday mornings 5 to 8 here on The Zone with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor.
All right, so does A&M need to get older in the portal this year? And what are the headlines going to be on Monday? We're going to find out who the OC is. Is somebody going to commit to A&M? That's going to be a big, big deal. We'll talk all about that all here this segment. You can call us up, 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. You can text us on the A&B text line. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB, does A&M have to get older?
Well, they're going to get older just by, naturally from all those freshmen they had that are going to be sophomores. So I don't have a problem with it, but they just need to get better.
They do need to get better.
They just need to get better. I mean, are you going to bring in a senior because he's a senior? Or are you going to bring in a senior? Well, I mean, look, if it come down like, hey, there's a guy that was a freshman somewhere last year and played well, but now he doesn't like the coach, or they made a coaching change and he wants out and he plays the same position as this senior guy, but this guy looks like he's better. Now, which one do you want?
Right.
I mean, experience is not a bad thing, obviously, but I just think they need to get better. If that senior cornerback or that senior linebacker is better than the sophomore linebacker, great. Then you get better plus experience. But if the sophomore linebacker is still a better player, that's who I'd take.
Yeah. So the reason I'm bringing it up is I was having a conversation yesterday with a gentleman who follows A&M sports, and he's like, dude, why did we think A&M was going to be as good? Look at the offensive line. They were all either freshmen or second-year players, and that is a position where you do need veterans. And then the conversation came from the offense, as bad as the offense has been the last couple of years, it really is worse when the O-line is as bad as it's been.
Yeah, that's you can probably say that about any offense,
yeah.
Right? And I'll agree that typically your better offensive lines are experienced. They got juniors and seniors. A&M's really good offensive line 2 years ago was 4 seniors and a sophomore. Mm-hmm. Of course, the sophomore was the best one, right? So that goes back to the.
But remind me, because I wasn't doing the show with you then. What was the conversation like about the offense? Was it we're winning in spite of the offense, or was like this offense is fine?
It was the big I guess thing to complain about was that they weren't an offense that they weren't necessarily a big play offense, that they would wear you down. And I think Aggies celebrated it because we saw every game and saw how effective it was. But nationally, they use that as an excuse not to, not to put A&M or say that's why A&M shouldn't be in the playoff.
Let's read this text message from a 979 number there. That first one, Caroline, because I you've worked in different newsrooms. I have as well, and I want us to respond to this.
Guys, I don't know if y'all understand this. The media has disassembled everything that Jimbo is trying to build here. Now everybody's dissecting. Did it ever occur to you that the people leaving for the people that were causing the problems? Any team that I've ever played on of any success had to work as a team.
Thank you, Dr. 979. Let's take that in part, shall we?
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if y'all understand this. The media has disassembled everything that Jimbo's trying to build here. I haven't been to the meetings recently with the media where they tell us how to handle things.
Yeah.
I do feel that there is a media bias against personalities, right? And there's certain people that the media likes, and when they're done liking them, they do whatever they can. But that's not...
But for the most part, that's on the national scale.
Right.
For the most part.
Right.
Every now and then you can find a local reporter that has an axe to grind.
Sure. Do I think Paul Feinbaum doesn't like Jimbo? Yeah, I believe that.
I think Paul Feinbaum is kind of like a chameleon, and he likes to hit people when they're down.
Right.
Because he always hated Jim Harbaugh. And then I heard just last week someone asked him about, well, what do you think about Jim Harbaugh now? Because I know you always were critical and didn't like him. So I've never had a problem with Jim Harbaugh. I'm thinking driving along here and said, that is just a bald-faced lie.
Now he continues in this text. Now everybody's dissecting. Did it ever occur to you, the people that are leaving for the people that were causing the problems?
The people that were leaving are the people that were causing problems.
Some,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and in some cases, some guys, no matter how talented they are not worth the trouble.
Well, let's look at this note right here. These are some notable departures. Devon Achane, not a problem.
Not
Great
a
guy.
problem. Great guy.
Jalen Jones.
Great guy.
Great guy. NFL bound. Andre White.
Great guy. Nothing wrong with him.
Haynes King.
Good guy. Really great guy.
Denver Harris got into some trouble.
Problems.
He got into trouble.
Tomise,
good player, was hurt a lot.
Had some issues, but for the most part, good guy. Or
hurt.
He wasn't a problem.
Chase Lane, great guy.
Good guy. Really good guy.
And by the way, the guys who got in trouble this year, I don't know if they're bad dudes or good dudes or not. They seem Denver Harris seems like a friendly dude.
Yeah,
Chris Marshall seemed like a friendly
dude. But
dude.
if you get suspended twice for the things they did, for breaking team rules, at some point you got to say, look, who's going to run this show?
And Jimbo put his foot down.
You can have a guy like Von Miller that makes a mistake and figures it out and comes back and has a great career and say, yeah, I made a mistake getting what's the word I'm looking for? Sanctioned or whatever. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. Getting some discipline. You can have a guy that makes a huge mistake. He gets disciplined. And then a few weeks later, makes an even bigger mistake. And then you say, what do I do here?
Right.
Do I just keep turning a blind eye, or do I have to make a move here?
Any team that I ever played on of any success had to work as a team. Yeah,
I think that's pretty common everywhere.
That's true. I don't even know what this text is about, to be honest with you. I'll just say this. There's certain things you don't have to read too deep into. We are in the A&M went 5-7. I don't care how good the culture is. 5-7, people consider leaving in this new world of college football. Okay, there's that. It's also a new world of college football. The people on a 10-2 team would consider leaving.
Well, one of the things to remember about, and this is a huge factor in a lot of guys leaving. Not all, but a lot of them. If you look at A&M, they're more talented players are like freshmen, are going to be sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
And am I going to stay around? Tomise Adelier. I think he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah.
But could it be that he looks at it and says, I'm going to have to compete with Shamar Stewart and Malik Sela and, some other guy, LT Overton, who played a lot. And maybe it would be easier for me to go somewhere else where I'm going to step in and know I'm a starter right away.
Another part that people are not considering is that they have more people in their ears than they've ever had.
Mm-hmm,
they have marketing folks, agents, and from a pure business, not college football standpoint, from a pure business standpoint, it makes sense for almost every player to go in the portal.
Yeah, I think Lane Kiffin actually said that, and that's why they need to make a rule that says you get one. I mean, look at the guy, JT Daniels. He's been to USC, Georgia, West Virginia, now he's in the transfer portal again.
But if you're Bryce Young and you were to stick around, right? It makes now you want to stay at Alabama, you have a chance to win a national championship, great. But if you continue to have these 10-2 seasons, 2 in a row, whatever, and then you're like, I'm gonna put my name in the portal. I got $1 million, let's just say, from Alabama. I put my name in the portal. Georgia's looking to replace Stetson Bennett. I can go there and make $3 million. Why not? That's how the game is played. You're a linebacker. You're getting nothing at A&M, or you are getting a little bit of money at A&M, but you put your name in the portal. All of a sudden, that school needs you. Hey, we need a linebacker. We'll pay you double the NIL. that's the business part of this NIL thing, that if you are an 18 to 22-year-old with people in your ears telling you, go get the money, there's money. Unfortunately, a lot of times there's these promises, and I don't know if they always deliver.
Yeah, and the thing is that A&M has a really good situation with NIL, and it does always deliver. So,
well, I'm just saying the people telling them, if you
I
go
know,
in, you're going to get
make
this,
and
then
may
you go
not.
in.
It was like Mac Brown said that while he was, I saw an interview with him, and this was in recruiting, so it wasn't in transfer portal, but the kid said, Coach so-and-so offered me $600,000. And Brown said, well, appreciate you coming.
Thanks.
If they're offering you that, then you need to go. And, of course, he didn't say if the guy signed with him or not, but he did say that he felt confident that the guy didn't get $600,000.
Right. Well, look, there are situations where certain players are going to make that cash. And there are situations where it's just to entice you enough. Because I do think this happens often. Think about in the few times in your career we've thought about a new job. Once you allow your head to go there, it kind of changes everything. Doesn't it? Doesn't it kind of like you want that new house? You haven't thought about a house, but then you look. Oh, all I can see is myself in this new car, this new house, this new job, this new life. It is very hard to go back once you allow your mind to go there.
Yeah, I just think that that you're going to see this every year. Guys are negotiating. You'll hear. I'm not saying this is the situation with Edgerrin Cooper, but you're going to, as players become more, savvy with this whole thing. Like, hey, all right, it's time for me to enter the portal, unless someone's at their school has already approached them proactively to give them, quote, a raise. But, everybody listen to me. If you had a job and every year, if you marketed yourself, you knew that you could, or you felt confident that you could get a significant raise, you probably would.
I'm going to read this chat before we hit a break here. Maroon Kool-Aid on the TexAgs chat. Feinbaum is a nerd and a loser. Oh, I didn't need to read that part. He hasn't liked Jimbo nor A&M since we joined. However, let's say Texas A&M was the next Georgia, because he's also a slimeball. He would simp us just as the next SEC tells him to. And Maroon Kool-Aid, plane crash guy, agrees. Says winning takes care of Feinbaum.
Yes.
I don't remember what he was saying during the 2020 season. Was he pushing for A&M to make the playoffs?
I don't recall. He was just so giddy over Alabama, and that Alabama team was amazing.
Yeah.
So it's amazing though. We should all learn from that Alabama team, that one, and put more emphasis on your wide receivers, because when they had those receivers, they were unstoppable. Jalen Waddle, Mechie was the number 3 guy. Yeah. Jamison, I mean, they were nasty with the receivers, and Foster, Young was incredible. All of a sudden, you get some good but not great receivers, and that quarterback isn't quite as.
You're talking about 2021 to 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about the association.
Yeah, I guess it was Jamison Williams. I can't remember the receivers they had in 2020 when they won the national championship. I know Waddle was one of them, but he got hurt. Devontae Smith. They had the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
He's great. And then the next year with Young.
Right.
He's winning the
Heisman
Trophy.
And
they're playing for the national championship, I think, with Jamison Williams. But then you get, so that's 2 years in a row. They're just loaded.
Right.
When Clemson won it, they were loaded at receiver. With T. Higgins. And
D-line and receiver.
D-line and receiver now. You got to have receiver.
And I feel like I'm adding the whole team here, but I'm going to add one more. O-line.
Well, yeah.
To me, O-line is where it all begins.
Well, this year, Alabama was vulnerable more than they've ever had. Offensive line, not as good as typically they are, and receivers definitely weren't.
Yep. Let's talk about the Association of Former Students. They've been around for 140 years, and they love giving back to Aggies all around the world. That's the most inspiring tradition of being an Aggie, right? Aggies helping other Aggies, and that is what they do. That is their mission. That is why they've created a website to kind of tell your stories out there. IamTheWhy.com is a story where you get to share your journey at A&M and beyond. It's a place you can go and just enjoy Texas A&M Aggie stories from all around the globe. It's a great place to share and see unique perspective and lenses of Aggies, and it's for former students, current students, you name it, because that's what the association does. They give back scholarships. They do silver taps, ring day, class reunions, muster, you name it. That's why I highly encourage for you to check out IamTheWhy.com. Again, that website is IamTheWhy.com. It is the Association of Former Students.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The theater company of Bryan College Station presents Titanic the Musical. Performances run through Sunday. Purchase tickets online at theatercompany.com/tickets. Voices for Children is hosting its annual 12 Days of Giving through December 12th. Check out today's story on their Facebook page and donate online at vfcbrazos.org/12days. This is the final week to adopt a BCS Salvation Army Christmas angel. Angel trees are located at all Blue Baker restaurants and Post Oak Mall. Adoptions can also be made online at salvationarmybcs.org. United Way of the Brazos Valley is hosting 7 book giveaway events this month. Find out more online at uwbv.org. Listen to your favorite holiday hits on our sister station, Christmas 97.3 FM. Guaranteed to get you humming along. Your favorite holiday hits 24/7 on Christmas 97.3 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Holiday Sparkle starts at Montelongo's Fine Jewelry. The Montelongo's Fine Jewelry family has been helping people select the perfect gift for over 30 years, and they want to be your jeweler this holiday season. Let Montelongo's help you find a dazzling gift from their incredible selection that's in stock and ready to be wrapped. Decide joy. Decide to give. Decide Montelongo's. Bring home a little sparkle with a gift from Montelongo's Fine Jewelry that's sure to make your loved one's Christmas shine. Visit their showroom on University Drive, and Merry Christmas from the Montelongo family to yours.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-936-9033. 800-936-9033. 800-936-9033.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louis Bellina Show, or Chip Howard? Look inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. Don't miss a single rant, guest, or moment. You can download or subscribe to any and all of your favorite shows inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. There's also a special selection where you can find select interviews from David, Louis, and Chip. Look up Zone interviews inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. Download or subscribe, but don't miss out. Check out the Pod Center at Zone1150.com.
This is karma's gonna get you. Gonna knock you right in the head.
Welcome back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Try to get to your text messages here soon. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. And now it is time to bank on it. Can we bank on it, OB?
We can bank on it.
Presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com. What are you banking on?
I'm banking on a Texas A&M basketball victory over Oregon State on Sunday, 5 o'clock, Reed Arena, for a couple of reasons. Number one, they're at home. Aggies are 3-0 at home. But not only that, they just play so much better at home. Now, you can say it's because they're opponents, but they're going to win because they're at home. And Wade Taylor and Henry Coleman's going to lead the way. Wade Taylor, on three-pointers, he shoots 60% at home on three-pointers. He's made 9 of 15 at home.
60%, wow.
9 of 15 at home. And he averages about 17.5 points a game at home. On the road, Wade is shooting 25.8% at three-point line and averages about 13.8 on points. Now, Henry Coleman at home is averaging, I did some work here this week. He's averaging 16.6 points at home. On the road, 8.2.
Wow.
So these guys, now you can say, well, yeah, they played better competition on the road, and there's some truth to that.
Sure.
But, some of that also on the road was Loyola, Chicago. They played really well against DePaul. But, and Oregon State will probably be the best team they played at home, arguably. They're 4-5. But this A&M team, for whatever reason, plays better at home, and not just because of the caliber of competition, but they do play better at home. So I expect them to play well and beat the Beavers.
They need back-to-back wins. Actually, they need to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. Absolutely. They need to win these next few because I think the Memphis
Well, they'll
game,
win 5 in a row if they win their next 2.
Yep.
Because
they're going to beat Wofford. They're going to beat,
I would think,
yeah,
Northwest Louisiana.
and
Prairie
PV.
View.
Yep. I'm going to bank on something similar, OB, but I'm banking on it in a different way. I'm banking on the defense being the defense we signed up for this year. It's kind of been a kamikaze style of defense where they've just been out of position often because of their over pursuit of players, and they're leaving 3-point specialists open. Not even 3-pointers. They're just leaving 3-point shooters open. I think they're going to get back to doing what we are used to seeing them do, creating havoc on the defensive side to where shooting a 3 is contested, not uncontested.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be all the difference in the world because the offense is a little bit better than now, they missed too many gimmies the other day. Those will get at home, friendlier rim. I think they get back to the basics by playing the defense that we're so used to seeing. And yes, they will win. And that win, depending on how they play, I think will make all the difference in the world when they go to Memphis.
Well, at home, they're allowing opponents to shoot 29% from 3-point range. On the road, opponents are shooting 41.6%.
Thank you, OB.
You bet.
When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, hour number 2, we're going to do the week in review, kind of go over some of the big talking points throughout the week. Mark French is going to join us at 9:35. Billy Lucci, the 10 o'clock hour. We'll get to your text messages and phone calls, 979-693-1150. You are listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Yes, the Aggie football season is over, but we still got plenty to talk about, and with good friends on the Louis Bellina Show. Each Monday, we check in with Mitch Light of The Athletic. Tuesday, Cedric Golden of the Austin American Statesman. And from time to time each month, we say hi to Alan Ward of Brigadoon Brewery. It's the Louis Bellina Show, weekdays 11 to 2, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service, and heard right here on The Zone.
So what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Paul Feinbaum is SEC country, and Aggieland is too. Listen in to Paul weekday afternoons 2 to 4 on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. This is KZNE, College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. The new Bryan City Council is complete following yesterday's runoff election. Marka Ewers-Shurtleff won the single-member District 5 seat, which represents West Bryan.
I learned just how diverse District 5 is. We have everything in our neighborhood, from very old streets all the way out to traditions. We're a quickly evolving and growing district, and I learned more just boots on the ground.
Shurtleff will be sworn in a week from Monday, the 19th, during a special council meeting. Attacks on power substations have been in the news across the country. BTU's Megan Brown says it's something they prepare for.
By the time it hits the news, we've probably been thinking about it for 20 years.
Brown says keeping their inventory stocked with replacement parts is important in case something does happen. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice has released the reports of 2 investigations about the escape of inmate Gonzalo Lopez near Centerville last May. Both reports can be found at WTAW.com. The College Station City Council agrees to sell more than 28 acres of land north of Costco for more than $9.3 million.
Presentation materials at last night's meeting shows a concept plan of 4 restaurants next to the freeway. Behind that would be 4 retail stores and either a 5th store or a 5th restaurant. At the rear, next to Midtown Drive, would be some sort of entertainment center next to Costco, a hotel at Midtown Drive and Corporate Parkway, and another restaurant in between the two. Bill Oliver, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
The end of last night's more than 4-hour College Station City Council meeting included the announcement from Councilman Dennis Maloney about the departure of the president of the Brazos Valley Economic Development Corporation.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the man who took that department from B grade to an A grade.
Maloney, who is one of College Station's representatives on the BVEDC board, says Matt Prohaska is leaving at the end of this month after more than 5 years with the organization. More news is online at WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Due to the Texas heat, humidity, not to mention the multiple hail and windstorms, most roofs don't last their full lifetime. But since 2006, AmeriStarRoofing.com has been helping Texans protect their homes from age and storm-related damages, and they have multiple adjusters on staff working directly with your insurance company to ensure that you get the coverage you need to make your home look new again. Call Ameristar Roofing now to schedule your free roof inspection, 979-446-9874. AmeriStarRoofing.com.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. The Sports Minute is brought to you by Hoco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HocoSupply.com. Texas A&M football players Evan Stewart, Shamar Stewart, and Matthew Wyckoff have been named the All-SEC freshman team. Evan played in 10 games this season at wide receiver and led all-league freshmen with 53 receptions for 649 yards. Meanwhile, defensive lineman Shamar tallied 23 tackles, 3.5 for loss, as well as 1.5 sacks and 4 quarterback hurries. And offensive lineman Wyckoff appeared in all 12 games, playing mostly at center. Aggie men's basketball is back in action this Sunday as it welcomes Oregon State to town. The Maroon and White are looking to bounce back following a disappointing 86-71 loss to Boise State last Saturday. Coach Buzz Williams says the loss may call for some internal changes and adjustments.
We learned a lot from Boise, and similar to what we did last year after Auburn, we compared our 5 wins and our 3 losses and tried to diagnose what it is that is causing us the most problems and then what it is that we need to adjust.
Buzz on his radio show earlier this week. He and the guys will match up against the Beavers Sunday at 5 p.m. at Reed Arena. Broadcast with Andrew Monaco and Dr. John Thornton gets underway at 4:30 on 1620 94.5 WTAW. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hoco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
Gotta be connected with The Zone. Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at The Zone 1150. Like us on Facebook at The Zone 1150. Programming alerts, prize updates, scores from games all across Brian Broadcasting, contest news, and more. Connect with us and always be in the know. Can't remember what team is playing on what station? When are they giving away what? And when is the coach on the show? Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Zone 1150. And be sure to like us on Facebook at Zone 1150. And always be in the know.
Look, if you had one shot,
Play this song and it wakes me up. I was getting a little tired during that break, reading some of these text messages. Woo-hoo! Some of you. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So I think when you have a terrible year, that crazy ideas come from that, right? Ideas that just make no sense. And I get it because you want what's best for this team. I'm going to read you a text message here. I would like to see Johnny Manziel get into coaching the quarterback's job. just my opinion here. Just mine. Nobody else's. I don't think A&M hires people for positions like that have zero experience at doing said job. Now, he's been a really good quarterback, but doing said job. I'm going to leave that on there. Just that's my opinion on it. I don't think being a quarterback coach at A&M is an internship or, learning on the job kind of thing, but I might be wrong. I might be wrong. If you want to be a part of the discussion today with some insight like that, you can text us on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. You can also call us up on the hotline, 979-693-1150. The two questions I have out for you today are you can text in your headlines on Monday. What are the headlines going to be? Is it going to be something to the effect of A&M lands their OC, new direction coming? Is it going to be A&M still waiting for their offensive coordinator? Will it be about transfer portal guys? The Aggies get commitments from X, Y, and Z. I'd like to hear from you there on the text line. And also, my question that I'll tackle a little bit this segment. Does A&M need to get older? I talked about it with Olin a little bit. I'd like to get your thoughts on that because I do think that they need to get better. There was a message on the chat that, let me see if I can find it here, on the YouTube chat that says, I like Fisher. This is from Bob. But when you have several years of massive recruiting success, I don't buy the youth excuse. A program must develop and retain players. So my retort to that is, it's not necessarily an excuse. It is what it is, right? You're right. You need to have older, better players ready to go every year, and you shouldn't have these drop-offs that 1 year's good and a couple years bad, and then you're good and then you're bad. I agree with that. But the fact of the matter was the young players were better than the existing players in some of these instances, and youth does play a part. The offensive line was too young overall. I don't know how you can't look at it, and even though you had studs coming back on the right side of the line, for the most part, that was a very young offensive line. And you need experience there. You need guys that have played in the trenches, like at this level, because it is eye-opening. I even told we had Walter Nolan in the studio this week, and I was like, was there a moment where you're like, oh, this is different kind of talent? He's like, yeah, when SEC played, you recognize different level of dude out there. And there's an adjustment in that, and I think that's part of my rationale when it comes to that. All right, let's kind of look back at the week it was, because it really was a week with a lot of interesting things that did develop here. So go back to it, A&M basketball, they lose to Boise State in a game where the defense was completely off, a game where we were like, man, this is not the team that I thought we were getting this year. Kind of feeling like we felt in the beginning of the football season, right? Like, what happened to this team? This is not what I expected to see. A game where they missed too many easy shots and the defense was all over the place, allowing open shots galore. Boise State really controlling most of that game, and A&M would make their little runs, but for the most part, this was a game where A&M did not look good. So we had Buzz on the show on Monday, and look, the biggest thing there is they are getting too many open shots. Guys are getting to the free throw line way too much from 90 feet away, and Buzz says all of that needs to be fixed. Maybe not. Maybe he didn't say that.
Defensively, we foul way too much, and there's a laundry list of reasons why not to foul. But thus far in our 8 games, we're giving our opponents 28% of their points from the free throw line. That's the 6th worst in the country. And so we've begun to try to diagnose. It's been a priority, and we haven't made much correction in regards to the fouls. But they shot 36 free throws on Saturday. Some of those at the end we were fouling on purpose. But we're fouling and getting the opponent to the bonus way too quick. Some of that is from our ball screen coverage. Some of that is the rotation on the weak side. That would be priority number 2. And then the second priority defensively, we have to finish the possession with a rebound more often. We're giving opponents too many possessions on the offensive glass. And so there's a myriad of reasons on that as well when you're not doing a good job on the glass, but we're staying in rotation too much. Some of that comes from our ball screen coverage as well, and then some of that comes from we're not guarding the ball well enough, so it puts us in rotation. And so those would be the things that we have been aware of, that we've made some strides in, like against SMU, against DePaul. We finished at the rim at a really good clip. We didn't foul quite as much, but against Boise State, those were the things that were backbreakers for us.
All right, so that was Buzz there on Monday and reflecting. And Monday was about much more than just that. Let's go ahead and be honest. Monday was about the offensive coordinator search, because now we're in the week, the transfer portal week, where things are opening up and players are starting to figure out where they want to go. And A&M is trying to zero in on their offensive coordinator. And early on Monday, we had Billy on the program. And a lot of fake reports out there, people following flight trackers because, coaching staffs are recruiting in certain markets that seem similar to where an offensive coordinator candidate could be. Billy kind of broke it down where we were on Monday and gave us the names that are being mentioned. But again, we're still searching as of right now.
Frankly, I haven't heard much at all on the Jeff Grimes front.
Okay.
And that's a name that comes along a lot. It's a guy I really like. I would like to see A&M pursue. I think he's a lot better, and the Baylor fans don't appreciate what they've got up there. I think Dan Mullen and Phil Longo are two that I would say watch. I would watch. Yeah, those two were certainly in play.
Riley?
I believe so. Mm-hmm. I believe so. That's the one I'm not positive on, but I'm fairly certain that he's being targeted. And now, again, this is a thing where Jimbo's got to sit down, or Zoom or whatever, and talk to these guys and see what the fit is. The guy I said a long time ago that people rolled their eyes or were shocked, and there's a couple guys that I still keep an eye on that are Bobby Petrino, which would be my longest of long shots. But there's a connection there with Jimbo. He's there at Missouri State. I don't know how much he makes there as a head coach. There's not many people in this sport that call plays that can call game better than Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, right about that.
It would seem like just a circus you're asking for. And but
sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of points. And then another one, and this is a more outside the box one too. This name was floated to me, but I didn't feel Philip Montgomery.
All right, so that was Billy breaking down, and I'm very intrigued. This was on Monday. Very intrigued by the Bobby Petrino candidacy, because I just think there's something there. I also understand the question marks there. Billy mentioned he didn't know what he was making. I just found it on the Springfield News Ledger. He has a new base through the 2025 season of making $325,000 as the head coach there at Missouri State. He got that in June of 2021. So I say that, yeah, coming to A&M sounds great, because, why would you be a head coach to be an OC? You're going to make some more money at Texas A&M, no doubt about that, and also much more talent than he has there. So that was some of the conversation on Monday surrounding the OC search. But then Tuesday, we find out that Devon Achane is deciding to go to the NFL. And those are one of those names, and you'd heard us on this show for weeks saying, it'd be great to keep Achane, but a guy with his kind of level, you could see him absolutely testing the waters at the NFL. And then, we got reports back from Shireen and other scouts out there that he's highly regarded and could be a second-round pick. Maybe if he has an amazing combine, which I expect he would, maybe it goes up a little higher. Maybe he's a third-round pick, but high enough to make his name sexy enough to enter the NFL draft. We did reflect back on his time at A&M and looked back at even just last season, 2021, when he was the second fiddle to Isaiah Spiller, where OB was saying, I think this guy's got even bigger potential.
Well, when we're talking about Spiller, and I said, I think Achane's better. And that's not a knock on Spiller.
Yeah.
I just think Achane's better. And then he, I think Isaiah got hurt in that game, and Achane came in and had a big game. And then last year he would have had 1,000 yards as a backup to Spiller had A&M been able to play in the Wake Forest in the bowl game. And then this year, I still believe he would have made a run at 2,000 with adequate blocking. And, of course, what do you have, 1,100 and missed 2 games, including what should have been a stat game against UMass.
Yep.
And, boy, if there was ever any question of what he meant to the offense, was that not answered at Auburn?
He is a tougher running back than I thought. And I thought he was tough. And Jimbo would say it in press conferences. This guy is really good between the tackles. Because in my mind, I resort back. It's like I think this happens with certain types of quarterbacks and wide receivers. You think of them in a certain way just because of their size potentially. And I thought of him as just a speed guy. But what I learned this year was between the tackles, he is tough. And he also can change direction and make you look like a fool in an instant.
Oh, he did a lot of that against LSU, right?
Yeah, he did.
So just a remarkable player.
All right, that was OB breaking down his thoughts there on Devon Achane. So people were sad. What are you going to do about the running back room? And, then we start finding out that Ruben Owens is considering decommitting from Louisville because all the coaching changes. And, this is a guy that A&M recruited hard, and everyone thought he was going to choose A&M. Then he ended up choosing Texas, decommits from Texas, chooses Louisville. And then Jimbo's got a little bit more time on his hands because they're not preparing for a bowl game. Jimbo goes and visits, and we call him the closer, and he certainly put his charm on there. And Billy came on the show to talk a little bit about what getting Ruben Owens does for this running back room and really for this program.
First and foremost, that is a study in perseverance and how not to burn bridges and burn relationships when guys commit and choose elsewhere. You've seen Jimbo and his staff do this many, many, many times. This was another example. I think they've done it with a couple of very high-profile guys. This is another one of those incredibly high-profile examples where you are patient. And, Evan Stewart would be another one from last year. There's been so many over the years, and they're going to try to do it with other guys again this year. But Ruben Owens, a long time ago, was going to commit to A&M, and on the day he was prepared to commit, went to Texas. And there was no anger, we're done with you. That approach never happened, and they kept recruiting him. They played the long game. They did the same thing when he committed to Louisville, and here they are standing at the end when he makes his choice. And what a monster coup. This is the best back in Texas. Some would say the best back in the country. It's he or Cedric Baxter who's committed to Texas. And ironically enough, those are the two guys that Jimbo targeted from day one.
From day one, Billy Lucci there talking about Ruben Owens, such a big get for Texas A&M. And look, I just hope these are dominoes to start to fall, right? Domino being Ruben decides to go to A&M. Maybe Anthony Hill's like, you know what? I want to join that operation and others. And maybe some guys flip, like, let's go do that, right? There's that kind of hopeful momentum out there. And then offensive coordinator falls into place. You get some more skilled position players. Transfer portal guys fall in love with the idea here because all we're seeing is the out. We're not seeing the in just yet, but that should be happening here very, very soon. So that's the week in review here on TexAgs Radio. When we come back, we'll get to those text messages here. Want to get your thoughts on the headlines on Monday, your thoughts on the OC search, and also does A&M need to get a little older here through the portal? And I think that's what the portal's all about, getting older, right? Right now we're talking Brazos Running Company. They moved to their new location there in Century Square, locally owned and operated, Aggie-owned and operated, I should say. They're a running store that has an incredible selection of running gear and shoes. And the shoe tells you all about the athlete, right? You need to replace shoes more often than you probably think. I have to, and I haven't done it recently. I got to go do. So I'm going to go visit my friends there at Brazos Running Company. If you're a runner, a walker, or just a human being, right? If you're interested in fitness, the right shoe makes all the difference in the world. And at Brazos Running Company, they're passionate about running, and they're passionate about getting you in the right shoe. They've got this new location. It's got more space, more brands, and the brands that they have out there, I love them. Vuori. Huge fan of Vuori. Birkenstock's out there. That's hot again. Jump all over that. Brazos Running Company is there for you during your holiday shopping times. It is Brazos Running Company, now located in Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. It is Brazos Running Company.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Winter Wonderland at Travis Fields is this Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. Come out to this free, family-friendly event for fun activities for everyone to enjoy. Living Hope Bryan presents the Bryan Midtown Christmas Festival this Saturday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Join them for campfires, live music, games, and treats. The Taylor Check Chorus is performing at Caldwell Brethren Church on Sunday during worship at 10:30 a.m. You and your family are invited to this special Christmas performance. Brian High's organization, Vikings Kicking Out Tobacco, invites you to Jingle Bell Jump, a charity event benefiting Family Promise. Come out to Jumping World on Saturday, December 17th from 5 to 9 p.m. Get into the holiday spirit with Christmas 97.3 FM, playing your favorite holiday hits 24/7 through the entire holiday season. Christmas 97.3 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Grab your first cup of coffee weekday mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor, right here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Plus, online at radioaguiland.com. WC Tractor, your local award-winning Kubota in New Holland. Do you have questions? Look them up online at WCTractor.com. That's WCTractor.com. You can also call them at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor.
Question: would you pick a chain barbecue place over a hometown joint? Do you root for East Coast universities instead of the local team? Nah, then why choose a big Wall Street bank? A&B started in 1892. 5 generations later, we're still owned and operated by the same Texas family. We support this community. We value your privacy. We make quick decisions, and we hate red tape. We answer to you, not Wall Street. Bank with A&B. Family owned, Texas proud. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, I'm Jared McLeod with the Sleep Station. For years, Alicia and I have been telling you about the benefits of a new Tempur-Pedic mattress. But don't just take our word for it. Listen to our friend and Aggie wide receiver, Chase Lane.
If you feel as beat up at the end of the day as I do after a game, you need a Tempur-Pedic mattress from the Sleep Station. It alleviates all my soreness, and I always wake up feeling refreshed.
With interest-free financing in 2 convenient locations, you can purchase your Tempur-Pedic mattress today and sleep on it tonight. Aggie-owned, Aggie-operated. Visit thesleepstation.com.
The College Football Playoff on ESPN Radio. The undefeated and second-ranked Michigan Wolverines go head-to-head with the 12-1 third-ranked TCU Horned Frogs at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl.
Could easily get back and forth. That's going to be a fun matchup just because of the offenses.
You can hear the college football semifinals and national championship game right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. This is what we got planned for you. We'll go to your text messages and your calls here. 979-693-1150 is the A&B text line. At 9:35, we will talk to Mark French, former A&M basketball player, get his thoughts on how the season has gone. We'll do Around Aggieland at 9:50. Then the 10 o'clock hour, it's all about Billy Lucci, the OC search, and everything beyond that, transfer portal. You can ask him some questions. If you have any, you can send those on the A&B text line during the 10 o'clock hour. We'll get those to Billy at that point. All right, let's do this. Let's go to the A&B text line at the News and Social Center, where Caroline Turner's got some of the people's thoughts.
Okay, so from a 979 number, we have, it is amazing how people fixate on a name just because that name gets mentioned. We all know that there are numerous names out there that we don't even know about. Also, there are many OC options that would work out very well. The 2 main things are modifying the offense to be more creative and harder to defend so easily, and even more important, to have someone focused only on the offense and have the attention to detail, practice prep, game prep, and in-game adjustment focus that Jimbo simply cannot. There are numerous OCs that would be strong hires, not just the 3 to 4 mentioned so far. It seems everyone fixates and freaks out just because they see a name mentioned when none of us even know exactly who is being pursued.
Yeah, so a couple things on that. I think they're going to get the right guy. It may not be the guy you want, but I think this happens a lot with players and with coaches, where you fall in love with the name, right? The name of adding, I don't know, Justin Verlander at 40-plus years old to New York. Might work. Justin Verlander just won a World Series. Didn't have his best actually, he probably did have his best World Series, but he hasn't been huge in the World Series in years past. He goes to the Mets. They're super excited about him. They lose their ace. They pick up another ace. 2-year window, maybe they can win. There's that. And there's also, signing a guy just because of his name, and it just doesn't work out for whatever reason. He's past his time, or it's just not the right fit. I want the right fit. I want to make the offense better, and I don't think there's that much you have to change. I mean, there's a lot you have to change, but it's going to be better than it was last year. Just, talking about bank on it, is going to be better on it than it was last year. So there is that part of it, without a doubt, to consider. They have to modernize. Some of the names that are mentioned, not that young. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I want to look at their track record. I want to look at what they've done, not just last season, because I think, like Jimbo, there are years where you lose guys. I don't know the Missouri State situation well enough to be able to investigate the issues there. I know they took Arkansas to the wire this year. I know that they scored, somebody texted in that they scored above 31 twice this year. That is something to look at, but I don't know the full story. I also know that Bobby Petrino's done amazing work from an offensive perspective, from being a play caller and what he's been able to do offensively in years past. I'm not talking about the other stuff that we know that has happened. I'm just talking strictly football at this point. Garrett Riley, I know he's a very attractive name to many. What I worry about Garrett Riley is a guy that hot in the coaching ranks probably isn't going to be around for a while, right? Like, you got to think like he can either get a head coaching gig now, or he's going to be getting, if the offense continues to go in the direction that he'll go elsewhere, or TCU would do whatever it takes to keep him. So there's that part of it as well. You've got a name like Dan Mullen, who doesn't look like he wants to stay in TV. Well, I didn't like Dan Mullen very much at Florida, but he might be a great OC, but he doesn't really want to coach this year. Does that make sense? Does the salary that A&M can offer change the game? Does who they pick up this weekend change the game? There are some candidates out there that we don't know. We haven't said their names. Billy's kept some close to the vest because of negotiation reasons, I'm sure, and what's going on across the street. All those things are in play. I just think, consider where we were all a month ago, where the offense was, and there felt like no success in sight. Well, they're now in that process of figuring out who the right fit is. And again, it has to be the right fit. Can't just be a great offensive mind somewhere for 2 years. It's got to be the right fit, a guy with a proven track record, and that's what is going on right now. They're trying to figure that out. Let's go back to Caroline. Caroline?
Okay, we have from Dan Crow and SA. Will OC candidates that are in college football playoffs not accept until after?
Say that again, I'm sorry?
Will the OC candidates that are in the college football playoffs not accept until after playoffs?
So I think you're talking about Garrett Riley. I think that would be preferred from candidates' point of view, but if you're A&M, you can't wait that long. You can't wait that long to get your guy with all that is at stake, with all the guys, with signing day right across, how far are we? Less than 2 weeks away. You have to get this done now. And that's why I think here in the next few days, there will be some kind of announcement. So, if somebody has to wait for and I respect that, you can't wait till the end of the month. You just can't. You're not in that position right now. Caroline, try to get one more.
Okay, from John and Marshall, it says, Bobby Petrino would be a disaster, especially when we've heard Jimbo would have whatever he needs to pick an OC. Petrino's offense at Missouri State hasn't done much at all.
I have to look at the last few years. I'm not going to make that opinion right now. And look, it's a candidate with a proven track record offensively. But yeah, last year what I saw didn't blow my mind out of the water. But which I don't even think that's a sentence. But I have to investigate it more. I do. I wanted to see what it's going to be like, what it's going to change, what's the philosophy, are the coaches going to change? There's so many that go into that. All right, when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk to Mark French to talk a little Aggie basketball. Big game with Oregon State coming up, followed by a big game at Memphis. A lot of stuff on the line for this team who has not played well on the road. They will be at home this weekend, though. So, if I need to drive there, I can do that in my Caldwell Country Chevrolet Tahoe. Thank you to Zach Hester and his crew out there. Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. It's a place with deals. It's a place that will make the car buying experience better than any other place you've done. That I can tell you because I've done it myself. I know many people who work at TexAgs. If you go out here, it feels like you're a Caldwell Country lot. And it's not just because they advertise here. People, when it comes to business, I think most people are going to go get the car where it makes the most sense from a price standpoint, from a customer service standpoint, from the selection standpoint. Like, those are all things that are in play, and that's why I loved my experience with Caldwell Country Chevrolet, and I highly recommend it to anybody out there. If you're looking for a trade-in, that's the place that can give you top dollar. If you're looking for great customer service where they have complimentary pickup for their service customers, that's the place that you need to call. It is Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, just a short drive away, 15 minutes behind Caldwell, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business there with Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com.
He's got the moves with the wit of Larry David.
What are you doing here?
Olin Buchanan, mornings at 8 on TexAgs Radio, here on The Zone.
WPI needs a service technician to diagnose and repair heavy equipment for their Bryan location. The full-time position comes with a company vehicle, insurance, 401k, paid holidays, paid vacation, and competitive pay if you or someone you know is hardworking, dependable, and looking for full-time employment in the construction equipment repair industry. Apply in person with Jesse James at WPI in Bryan, Highway 21 East at Marino Road. WPI, an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, we're here with Jason Rollo. What makes Rollo Insurance so unique?
Well, we're a business ourselves, and we grew from a notepad. And when you come from the perspective of doing it yourself, I think you understand what business owners face, because we face the same things. Technology needs, dealing with those who are clients, as well as dealing with employees, agents. We understand because we're in the same boat, and that gives us a unique perspective in dealing with people and trying to help them.
Visit them at their headquarters in College Station or online at RolloInsurance.com.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's our 12 Deals of Christmas going on right now at your local Big Deal store. Hi, Jenny here, and I've been busy picking up very best deals for you this holiday season. Each day is a different offer, and we have limited quantities, so run to your computer or smartphone and grab it quick.
Today's big deal is 50% off gift certificates from Low Price Auto Glass. Get the deal before it's gone at AggielandBigDeals.com.
This Christmas, love beyond. The Salvation Army, in partnership with Bryan Broadcasting, presents Angel Tree. There are still angels to adopt on the Angel Tree inside Blue Baker restaurants, the Post Oak Mall food court, or online at salvationarmybcs.org. But hurry, time is running out. Select your angels, shop for their gifts, and return them by Monday, December 12th. Join us to show families in need that love exists beyond hardships. For more information or to volunteer, visit salvationarmybcs.org.
Brazos Running Company has moved to Century Square. Same passion for running and fitness and for finding the right shoe that fits your stride and style. Now with so much more. In addition to the sought-after running shoe brands like On and Hoka, Brazos Running Company now carries Birkenstock shoes, and they are the only place in town to carry Viore clothing, one of the hottest athletic wear brands in the country. Both make great gifts. So come shop Aggie-owned and operated Brazos Running Company, now located in Century Square below Star Cinema Grill in College Station.
On Sports Talk, Chip visits with actor Andy Buckley, who played David Wallace on The Office. Buckley told him about meeting Will Ferrell for the first time.
And I had never met him. He said, the show's so funny this year. He said that, and he starts referencing things. So I was literally just like a guy who's a stockbroker, and I've been watching Will Ferrell forever. I am a division manager.
That's pretty cool.
Sports Talk, connecting with legends, weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
All right, it's TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the hotline right now because Mark French has got the best office I've seen on this show. Where are you? This is beautiful.
I'm actually in my dad's office here in Uptown Dallas. He's got instead of using a conference room, he's got the good camera. So I'm popping down in here for a few minutes.
Yeah, man, I love it. It's a great view. I want to go to Dallas right now. You got me all interested. Hey, let's talk about A&M basketball, obviously. That's why former player Mark French with us. What's going on, man? What do you think is? Give me the good, the bad, everything that's happening this year so far.
Yeah, no, I mean, the good is that there's a lot of talent, right? I think this is the most talented roster since 2018 with Robert Williams and DJ Hogue and that crew. The downside is they've lost some games that I wish they wouldn't have. The Murray State, Colorado, and then I was actually there in Fort Worth Saturday. I didn't really like the vibe. But, it's such a rocky season in college basketball with all these transfers and young guys coming in. It's so hard to create, consistency and culture, and that's what a Buzz Williams team thrives on, right? And so I think it'll be interesting. Obviously, 2 huge games coming up, Oregon State and Memphis. So we'll see. They definitely have some kinks to work through on offense. I think they're still finding their offensive identity. And then some discipline issues on defense, just staying solid instead of, sometimes running around with your chickens with their heads cut off at times. But a lot of room for growth. And if you look historically at Buzz's teams, front half of the year, due to the off-season regiment and the build-up to the season, usually they don't get their legs till the back half after Christmas, and then they go on a run. So that's been true at Virginia Tech and Marquette, and even back to New Orleans. So I think you'll see some of that too.
Mark, outside of some text messages and some messages on social, have we actually ever talked? I don't think we have, right?
I don't think so. I feel like I know you. Logan and everybody speaks so highly of you. But so I guess this is our first interaction here, David.
Yeah, it's funny because I've obviously watched you on the broadcast and heard you, and I feel like I know you, and it just hit me like, dude, you don't even know this dude. You're doing the show. So by the way, thank you for coming on. Let's talk about those discipline issues on defense, because that was the one part that caught my eyes, the fact that I see the effort, I see the energy, but they're not synchronized. They're not working together, at least on these road games. What is going on there other than just putting all your energy in one area?
Yeah, so here's a stat. We're 352nd in defensive rebounding. And so when you can't close out a possession with a rebound, you're giving teams second and third opportunities. And, a lot of times with the momentum that comes with that, you're going to see them finish that. And so I think learning how to close a possession out on the glass is something that's going to be important as the season goes on, especially as you get into, SEC play. That's kind of the MO of a lot of these really uber athletic teams. And so that's something they got to shore up for sure. But also just simple things like closeouts. We're just flying by guys. And then what does that create, David? You got guys driving the lane, they're playing 5-on-4, and that's where you're going to see them spray out to the wing or to the corner for wide open threes. And then on the other hand, we're giving teams higher percentage shots than we're getting on the offensive end. And so it's kind of a culmination. Like I said, everything's kind of all tied together, but it truly does come back to just defensive, principles and discipline.
Mark, it's interesting because typically you have a bad loss on a Saturday or Sunday. You have another game in between. This is a long so I feel like this dialogue about what's wrong with this team, at least from a talk show perspective, has not evolved. I am sure that at the practice this week, things have evolved.
I can almost assure you. But no, they'll get it cleaned up, David. I mean, you get a great opportunity. The game, it's national broadcast on Sunday night against Oregon State. So that'll be a great opportunity for them to come back and bounce back. The Boise State loss stings. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and have my maroon Kool-Aid glasses on, because what it would have enabled is you'd have 4 straight wins going into Oregon State, and then hopefully get that one rolling into Memphis. And just the momentum it could have created. I think that's why it feels probably worse than it is because of what could have been, right? And but they lost a really mature team that moved the ball well, and we're still figuring some things out. So. Like I said, they'll be all right, but it would have been nice to snag that one for sure.
No doubt about it. Talking to Mark French here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. So what is the difference with this team now than, let's say, a year ago? And when I say that, I know that the record looked better a year ago, but the caliber of teams wasn't the same as they've seen this year. So when you see the team play, I'm just talking from a eyeball standpoint, what is different?
I think they look like a high major team, and guys like Solomon Washington, Marble, Coleman's transformed his body a little bit, Dexter Dennis. When they get onto the court, I'm like, wow, okay, that's a high major team. And in years past, sometimes I'm like, okay, I know those are good players, but the eyeball test, right? Not that matters as much as people think, but we got to develop some type of consistency on the offensive end, David. I think that starts with shooting. We got to recruit guys that can shoot. We got to develop guys that can shoot. And we got to be in an offensive system that enables guys to use their strengths and also know what's expected of them. So that's really, for me, it's like, if we can figure out.
I think we just lost Mark.
Feed your offense.
You're back.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So everyone always says, defense feeds your offense. In some ways, it sounds counterintuitive, but your offense can feed your defense. And if we're, hitting threes and stuff, that ramps up our intensity on defense. And of course, that's Buzz's MO, is to be an aggressive defensive team. So I think it's all kind of tied together more than we realize.
Mark, at least in the last game, some of the easy shots were missed. Does that kind of thing become contagious for teammates? Like Henry misses an easy shot, Wade misses an easy shot, Boots, it's, you know what I'm saying?
No, there's no doubt about it. It's amazing the psychological component of that, especially when your best players aren't finishing some of those, especially bunnies around the basket. The reality is, if we want to be an NCAA tournament team, right, year 4 Buzz, they're tracking well, should have been in the tournament last year, probably a Sweet 16 team, at least around a 32 team, in my opinion, last year. We got to have guys step up like Wade, Tyrese, and Henry. They got to be your best guys every night. There's got to be some sort of consistency, not just in terms of points on the scoreboard, but in terms of effort, in terms of bringing guys up to their level of play, and just a maturity that they need to play with. And I think at times we're showing signs of immaturity. And, Buzz always talks about it's a race to maturity, right? We all know he loves quotes and things like that. That's one of his go-to mantras. It's a race to maturity. And I think that's where this team's at right now, is they're trying to figure out, where can that maturity come from? And, Wade, in my opinion, a lot of it starts with a point guard, a strong presence at the lead guard position. And I hope Wade, obviously he's averaging 15 points a game right now, but just continuing that leadership role and kind of making this team his own, along with Boots and Henry. So we'll see where it goes.
You brought up Henry there, and he does look a little bit more muscular. He's put on some strength, no doubt about that. What do you think about when he and Julius are out there together in the paint, the good, and maybe what slows down the offense a bit?
Sure. Well, I think we can all agree that Marble and Coleman are 2 of your top 5. I've had many conversations over the last couple of weeks. When I did the game for SEC Network a couple weeks ago, the entire staff said Marble was the best player in practice all week. So I think the Michigan State transfer, obviously Tom Izzo and crew, but I think he's taken a step to where you almost have to figure out a way to play them both. One thing to point out, we're in terms of just field goal attempts, right, which is a sign of pace of play a little bit, we're 323rd in the country. So we have 461 field goal attempts this year. We're shooting, 45% from the field. That's 176 in the country. But so if we're going to play slow, which is fine, we got to be efficient. Or we need to play fast, and maybe we'll, deal with a little bit lower shooting percentage. We kind of have a double whammy right now. And I think Coleman and Marble can help solve that. The issue is, in today's game, David, of course, everybody wants the 4 guys on the floor that can shoot, or preferably 5. And so Marble isn't necessarily a 3-point shooter, neither is Coleman. And so the battle schematically is going to be, how do we incorporate both of them to get the best out of them? And I think, in my opinion, you start them together and then you stagger minutes so that they both can kind of have their, moments to shine, and we can, give them some isolation opportunities. But I certainly believe that those are 2 of our top 5, at least at this point. And that schematically, we got to find ways to incorporate both, preferably on the court at the same time, which would, obviously help on the defensive rebounding as well, which is a big component to this whole deal.
Mark, which new player has caught your eye that, all right, this dude's going to be a real player come March?
This is the easiest question you've asked all morning, David. Solomon Washington. Okay. Went and watched shoot around a couple weeks ago. Walked in the gym. My buddy who I was with, I said, that's how they're supposed to look. I said, solid. I said, I go up to Coach Lair. He's the special assistant to Buzz. I said, who is that? And I knew who Solo was, but I just wanted to see his reaction. And his athleticism just pops. Here's the other thing. Let me see if I can find it. He's shooting 43% from three. Solo is, Solomon Washington. And so I think, we've seen him make some starts. Louisiana Player of the Year last year, head-to-head win over Alabama and LSU on the recruiting trail. Got to keep incorporating him. He needs to take a step. A lot of times these freshmen are going to hit a wall right before Christmas. They're going to be homesick. They're on campus when no one else is, and it's just two-a-day practices. Conference play comes around. We need Solomon Washington to be an integral part. But, gosh, man, his athleticism just pops at me. And he could tell he really loves getting to that right hand and going through someone's chest and finishing. He did that a few times on Saturday. But in terms of raw talent, he's probably the best prospect talent-wise that we have on the entire roster, in my opinion.
Mark, we know how important Boots is to what this team does, kind of a glue guy, but at a high level. But where does he need to take his game? Does he need to reach new heights, or does he just keep doing his thing?
Yeah, Boots is an interesting one. With these older guys that have played in a lot of big games, sometimes I don't want to say that it's not that they don't care. It's just that they're ready for conference play to get here, for, conference tournament in March to get here. And they like those bigger moments. And I think with Tyrese, it's kind of just, it's almost like he's easing into the season a little bit. He's averaging 12, 4, and 2 right now. He probably, if we're going to make a run, he probably needs to be in that 15 points a game range come conference time. One, that takes a little bit of pressure off Wade, but two, Boots was amazing at the end of the year last year, right? Along with Q, he was probably our best player. And so, he's got to take a little, I think there's one more gear he can go to. And the cool part about that, Nuño, is that I think you'll see the dominoes kind of fall into place on the rest of the roster if, Boots can take that next gear step. I think it makes everybody have he's kind of a calming presence. I think Buzz has alluded to that before. But he has to be that. I know he's a quiet kid, but in terms of on-court capability, there's plenty of talent there. It's just finding his spots. And, to be truthful, this is where the Marble Coleman thing comes in. Boots is a downhill driver. We know he loves to get left or go right, spin back left, and finish. With the two bigs, maybe the lane's a little more congested. So, again, schematically, we really need to get in our war room and figure out how can we get the best out of each player.
That's the thing about Buzz, though. Say what you will, but he will adjust mid-season, mid-game. He didn't do it as much in the tournament early on because he wanted the players to figure it out for themselves. But he's not scared to tinker with what's not working.
No, I mean, my senior year, we scrapped an entire offense, like 3 games in the conference or something like that. Just one day walked in and said, yep, we're changing everything. And it's not a what do y'all want to run, but like, here's some options. Let's see what works. We'll just roll with that. And I think adaptability is super important, especially in today's game, because, the reality is come conference time, everybody's going to have you scouted. And so you probably got to make 2 or 3 switches within that, 18-game conference slate. You probably take it 4 or 5 games at a time, and then you got to, keep throwing, keep evolving, keep throwing other things at people. And Buzz is going to have his hands full. There's a lot of talent, but the pieces of the puzzle don't necessarily fit as well as I'd like them to. But there is a lot of talent, and it'll be a task. But he's, we've seen in the past, he's plenty capable of putting it all together and seeing a culmination.
Mark, last thing for you. How important is this stretch with Oregon State and Memphis? I know when it's all said and done, SEC play matters, but these games are part of your resume, and they certainly got to turn it on.
They got to turn it on yesterday, Nuño, and maybe turn it on 2 weeks ago. I'll be honest, the Murray State loss hurt, and then Colorado was kind of expected. You're going in there in Myrtle Beach expecting to win. Those two hurt. Boise State's the one that really disappointed me, if I were to be honest. I would have loved to see them snag that and keep the momentum rolling. But yeah, I mean, you're constantly being evaluated, and the reality is at the end of the year, if we're not going to play some of these blue blood programs, your RPI ranking and some of that is going to be a little bit lower than some of the other teams that are trying to get in. And so Oregon State's huge. Memphis is a big one. I'll probably be there. I grew up in Memphis, played for Penny Hardaway on the AAU circuit growing up. I'm going to try to go to that one and see both staffs and just kind of get a feel for it. But if they could snag those two, and then Wofford's a good program heading into conference play, it'd be huge. But the reality is you're being judged on the entirety of your season. And, that's something that we have to be keenly aware of, and there has to be a sense of urgency right now.
I got to ask you, you mentioned Penny. How was it playing for him?
He was awesome. So his AU organization, Team Penny, is who I kind of grew up playing for a little bit. And he actually coached our 16U team. Penny himself did, and kind of went up with us right before senior year. That's when I moved to Texas. So I didn't play with him my 17U year. But he was awesome, man. He'll put his arm around you. And, everyone says, oh, Penny's just a recruiter. But no, the guy's amazing. He'll put his arm around you and say, hey, on this pick and roll, what were you reading, and why was that right or wrong? And being able to teach the game is something I don't think Penny gets enough credit for. And I'm thankful for everything he did for me, for sure.
Mark, this is fun, man. We'll talk to you next week. All right.
Sounds good, Nuño. Great to see you.
Great seeing you too, man. Thanks so much for your time. All right, gig 'em. They're Mark French on the hotline right now. We're talking Heritage Films, Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films about your parents, about your family, about your boss, your uncle, your favorite basketball coach, whomever it may be. It's such a cool thing because it's something you guys can watch as a family and really just take in together. When we watched my dad's story here, a couple months back, it was cool. It was emotional too because we got to see pictures from him from 1930. My dad's in his 90s, right? Got to see how he met my mom. Got to see how he escaped Cuba. Like all these cool things that my dad has accomplished makes me feel like they can never do a documentary about me. What have I done? But we all have a story, and that's the beauty of Heritage Films. And your family, its story's not just about you, by the way. It's about like your parents, your grandparents, and how your family was started and how you met your wife, whomever it may be. It's a cool thing to do, and Chance does that for everyday people, and he does it all around the country. He's a slave to the process. It takes about 8 to 10 weeks. Certainly check out the website, yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The theater company of Bryan College Station presents Titanic the Musical. Performances run through Sunday. Purchase tickets online at theatercompany.com/tickets. Voices for Children is hosting its annual 12 Days of Giving through December 12th. Check out today's story on their Facebook page and donate online at vfcbrazos.org/12days. This is the final week to adopt a BCS Salvation Army Christmas Angel. Angel trees are located at all Blue Baker restaurants and Post Oak Mall. Adoptions can also be made online at salvationarmybcs.org. United Way of the Brazos Valley is hosting 7 book giveaway events this month. Find out more online at uwbv.org. Listen to your favorite holiday hits on our sister station, Christmas 97.3 FM. Guaranteed to get you humming along. Your favorite holiday hits 24/7 on Christmas 97.3 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Due to the Texas heat, humidity, not to mention the multiple hail and windstorms, most roofs don't last their full lifetime. But since 2006, AmeriStarRoofing.com has been helping Texans protect their homes from age and storm-related damages, and they have multiple adjusters on staff working directly with your insurance company to ensure that you get the coverage you need to make your home look new again. Call AmeriStar Roofing now to schedule your free roof inspection, 979-446-9874. AmeriStarRoofing.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Vanderwood with Veribank. Veribank is continuing to grow in the Brazos Valley with a brand new full-service banking center on Highway 6 in front of Academy. We have a team of genuine bankers specializing in personal and business banking, wealth management, and investor real estate lending ready to serve you. Veribank is here to help you succeed financially, and you can bank on it.
Visit Verabank.com today. That's VERA Bank.com. Verabank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Is Stafford ever going to compete for a Super Bowl again with the Rams?
I don't see it happening. I think Sean McVay and Les Snead, they got 2 Super Bowls out of this over the last 5 years. 1 win, 1 loss, but they appeared in the Super Bowl. I don't see where here in the next 2 seasons to 3 seasons that they'll be in a situation competing for a Super Bowl. I think the 49ers are just better, and I think Seattle's better. There'll be some changes, obviously, in Arizona. And so, Matthews banged up. Cam Akers will probably be gone at the end of the year. Cooper Kupp's injured. Aaron Donald missed some time last week. They'll lose some guys in the secondary. I mean, so there's a lot to be desired, but at the same time, it's pretty much done for the Rams.
Listen in to Key, J-Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor from 5 to 8 on the Zone.
Welcome in, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in here on the program. It is now time for Around Aggie Land, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website, normandystatebank.com. Kay Nagley, hello.
Good morning.
You were laughing earlier.
I was laughing. Well, I was more wondering what was going on back here because sometimes y'all are just, always having
Silly.
your little jokes. And I was like, I feel like I'm not a part of this, and I wanted to know.
Well, I think there were some text messages that made you want to scratch your head.
Yeah, probably. If I was sitting over there and doing what Carolyn was doing, I would probably be like,
What?
Yeah.
So, what do we have?
Not a lot, but we have some things. So first of all, Texas A&M football's Devon Achane, Antonio Johnson, and Nick Constantino earned all SEC accolades as the league offense announced. Yeah. Achane led the way for the Aggies with a pair of first-team honors as a running back and all-purpose player this season, while Johnston and Constantino were named to the second team. And additionally, more honors, Texas A&M football's Evan Stewart, Shamar Stewart, and Matthew Wyckoff were named to the SEC all-freshman team the league announced on Thursday. That's all we have for football. And then not a lot going on this weekend, but Buzz Williams and A&M's men's basketball team will hit the hardwood on Sunday at 5 p.m. to face Oregon State. I know we had a great interview about that, so you should definitely check that out. And me and OB will be there on Sunday to give y'all the coverage for that. So,
yeah, well, not a lot going on.
Not a lot going on, but it is what it is. Finals are wrapping up, so I have 2 finals after this today, so I need to ready to be done with that. So.
Yeah. Okay, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we are going to talk to Billy Lucci. We're going to get the latest because people are upset. People want to know things. We may know things today. We may not know things. Just let business take care of itself. It's a big weekend recruiting-wise, from a transfer portal perspective, from a high school recruit perspective, and from maybe recruiting the right OC. So all that is going to be part of the conversation. We will get to your text messages on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
You can listen to Aggie football, basketball, and baseball on your Amazon Dot or Echo. Step 1, say, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Step 2, anytime you want to hear fighting Texas Aggie football, Texas A&M women's basketball, or Aggie baseball, all you have to do is say, Alexa, play Zone 1150. It's that simple to listen to your favorite A&M teams that play on the Zone with your Amazon Dot or Echo. Make sure to say one time, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Then say, Alexa, play Zone 1150.
For our military families, Americans can show appreciation through education.
Because of you, I will walk across the stage. I can show my children that they can succeed at any point in their life.
I will be able to make a positive difference in the lives of other people.
I was able to achieve my dreams and work on eradicate some of the world's top diseases.
I was able to get the education that I always wanted.
Because of you, I will be paying it forward and serving my nation.
Join us at ThanksUSA.org.
Download the podcast of your favorite shows. Louis Bellina, TexAgs, Chip Howard, Checkpoint XP, and more. Do it at thezone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. The new Bryan City Council is complete following yesterday's runoff election. Marka Ewers-Shurtleff won the single-member District 5 seat, which represents West Bryan.
I learned just how diverse District 5 is. We have everything in our neighborhood, from very old streets all the way out to traditions. We're a quickly evolving and growing district, and I learned more just boots on the ground.
Shurtleff will be sworn in a week from Monday, the 19th, during a special council meeting. Attacks on power substations have been in the news across the country. BTU's Megan Brown says it's something they prepare for.
By the time it hits the news, we've probably been thinking about it for 20 years.
Brown says keeping their inventory stocked with replacement parts is important in case something does happen. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice has released the reports of 2 investigations about the escape of inmate Gonzalo Lopez near Centerville last May. Both reports can be found at WTAW.com. The College Station City Council agrees to sell more than 28 acres of land north of Costco for more than $9.3 million.
Presentation materials at last night's meeting shows a concept plan of 4 restaurants next to the freeway. Behind that would be 4 retail stores and either a 5th store or a 5th restaurant. At the rear, next to Midtown Drive, would be some sort of entertainment center next to Costco, a hotel at Midtown Drive and Corporate Parkway, and another restaurant in between the two. Bill Oliver, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
The end of last night's more than 4-hour College Station City Council meeting included the announcement from Councilman Dennis Maloney about the departure of the president of the Brazos Valley Economic Development Corporation.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the man who took that department from B grade to an A grade.
Maloney, who is one of College Station's representatives on the BVEDC board, says Matt Prohaska is leaving at the end of this month after more than 5 years with the organization. More news is online at WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Holiday Sparkle starts at Montelongo's Fine Jewelry. The Montelongo's Fine Jewelry family has been helping people select the perfect gift for over 30 years, and they want to be your jeweler this holiday season. Let Montelongo's help you find a dazzling gift from their incredible selection that's in stock and ready to be wrapped. Decide joy. Decide to give. Decide Montelongo's. Bring home a little sparkle with a gift from Montelongo's Fine Jewelry that's sure to make your loved one's Christmas shine. Visit their showroom on University Drive, and Merry Christmas from the Montelongo family to yours.
WPI needs a service technician to diagnose and repair heavy equipment for their Bryan location. This full-time position comes with a company vehicle, insurance, 401k, paid holidays, paid vacation, and competitive pay if you or someone you know is hardworking, dependable, and looking for full-time employment in the construction equipment repair industry. Apply in person with Jesse James at WPI in Bryan, Highway 21 East at Marino Road. WPI, an equal opportunity employer.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. The Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M football players Evan Stewart, Jamar Stewart, and Matthew Wyckoff have been named the All-SEC freshman team. Evan played in 10 games this season at wide receiver and led all-league freshmen with 53 receptions for 649 yards. Meanwhile, defensive lineman Shamar tallied 23 tackles, 3.5 for loss, as well as 1.5 sacks and 4 quarterback hurries. And offensive lineman Wyckoff appeared in all 12 games, playing mostly at center. Aggie men's basketball is back in action this Sunday as it welcomes Oregon State to town. The Maroon and White are looking to bounce back following a disappointing 86-71 loss to Boise State last Saturday. Coach Buzz Williams says the loss may call for some internal changes and adjustments.
We learned a lot from Boise, and similar to what we did last year after Auburn, we compared our 5 wins and our 3 losses and tried to diagnose what it is that is causing us the most problems and then what it is that we need to adjust.
Buzz on his radio show earlier this week. He and the guys will match up against the Beavers Sunday at 5 p.m. at Reed Arena. Broadcast with Andrew Monaco and Dr. John Thornton gets underway at 4:30 on 1620 94.5 WTAW. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
There's no college football, but the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service, has decided to go on. Each Tuesday, Logan Lee talks Aggie hoops, and Olin Buchanan talks about, well, Olin things. Thursdays, we still go college football with Braden Gall of 440 Sports. And every Friday, it's Bryce Jones from noon till 1. Hang out with the Louis Bellina Show, weekdays 11 to 2, right here on The Zone.
Papa was a copper and the mama was a hippie.
And we're back, TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in here on the program. And a couple things to get into here this segment because, look, when we go through some of these potential coaching hires, you got to look at sports radio sometimes as a diary, as therapy, as there's different things. Like, I'm not co-signing for anybody right now. I am more in the investigation mode. Why does it make sense? Why does this hire make sense, right? Like, at the end of the day, if they go this direction or that direction, I'm trying to figure out what went right, what went wrong, and it doesn't mean that I think that this is the right hire. It doesn't mean any of that, right? To me, it's all about why this is trending in this direction. Look, I don't know. There have been plenty. Like, I like using this J.J. Watt example often because I think a lot of times we fall in love with a certain name or a certain person at a certain place in a draft or for a coaching hire, and people booed when the Texans took J.J. Watt, right? They booed, and he ended up being a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players of all time. Because sometimes and even sports radio hosts and TV guys are like, why did they take this guy? They could have had this guy, right? I'm trying to think who was in that draft. I think it was that was a defensive tackle from Auburn that was really good. But whatever. There were certain guys that were the sexier name. They should have gone with this direction or that direction. So when there was somebody who posted on the chat like Jimbo should have had this figured out during the season and made the hire immediately. It doesn't work like that. When you are totally focused on, that doesn't mean that you don't have your people making phone calls and looking for the right guy. And then people have certain requests, needs, timing of their own. For Riley, for instance, the name that a lot of people talk about on message boards and on social media. Well, he's a very hot candidate for head coaching gigs too, right? Isn't his name being mentioned for the North Texas job? Obviously, I'd rather him be an OC at Texas A&M but everybody's got their own path to right? Dan Mullen isn't so sure about coaching this year. Longo, probably that didn't go the direction he wanted it to go. He gets a little, I don't know. He wants a gig. He wants to move on from North Carolina, and Wisconsin comes calling. So, and there's other names that we don't know, and we shouldn't know. Real business keeps it tight. They do their due diligence. They figure out who's the right guy for the program. So when we're discussing a Bobby Petrino, or we're discussing this guy or discussing that guy, a lot of that isn't necessarily me, trying to. You may look at it that way, but I'm not saying that I'm justifying it. I don't know. I'm kind of investigating it myself. We all jump to the conclusion of optics and, I could have had this guy, or, well, this guy had this track record, and this didn't work out so well there. I don't know. Like, literally, and none of us know. Some of it is situation-based. Some of it is personnel-based. Some of it is what it is. Now, I can understand the questions that come with those. I get it. Look, is there something intriguing about Dan Mullen and Bobby Petrino? Absolutely. As intriguing as is Garrett Riley, are there some question marks there? Yeah. Well, how long has he been doing it, and how long would he stay? Right? Or, why does Longo want to leave North Carolina? Jeff Grimes, why is he considered a guy or not? All these names, I get it. I understand it. But at the end of the day, we got to kind of play through the scenarios and try to figure out who the right fit is. And there are multiple things in play here. Timing, fit, scheme, relationships, and the Jimbo part of that. If you want to be a part of the discussion, you can text us on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. And with that, we are joined by the co-owner and executive editor, Billy Lucci.
Nuño David.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good.
So,
I didn't know we had that shirt.
We don't. It was specially ordered for me.
You designed it?
I wouldn't say I designed it. When I first got the TexAgs, there weren't a lot of polos up there, so I asked if I could order some.
I like it.
And CC's Creations gave me a couple different designs, and I picked this one.
Cool.
One of the ones I picked.
I like it.
Hey, big weekend. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of things in play. You're going to be busy.
Yes, absolutely.
You already are busy.
Let's see. My latest text.
Anything good? Food? Looks like food from here.
I'm going to read you some random text.
All right, let's play this game.
This is from a friend of mine, good friend. He's probably listening. He'll get his feelings hurt on this because I'm going to make fun of his sources. But it's not you, it's your sources. Let's see if I want to go, how far I have to go back with these sources. Okay. I'm told Longo from UNC is the new OC. This is December 2nd. I know this is from Jimbo telling the team. Okay. Said it's not true. Hasn't made a choice and definitely hasn't told the team. And he says, okay, I'm just trying to help.
I think I got
and
this.
I've explained to him and my other friends, like, I always appreciate the info, but as my friend, you have to know that if it's laughable, I'm going to tell you as such, right? Like, I did that to you the other day.
You did. I gave you
some. I like to say, tell your source that they don't know what they're talking about. Not you, but your source, because one by one, we will root these people out and make them aware that they don't really know what they think about what goes on in that building.
Sure, but don't you...
We'll never win the battle, though.
No, but don't you think sources can come in multiple different ways? And
yes.
It can be a custodian. It can be a secretary's husband or something.
Which is the importance of rooting them out and exposing the ones over time that don't have accurate info. So then you tell your friend or whoever, like, hey, that person... is wrong, and they're consistently wrong. We have a documented track record, so therefore, let's label them.
What about the 50-50
Let's put a
guys?
scarlet letter. 50-50s you can deal with.
Because I got a 50-50.
You got to know that they're 50-50, but you can deal with a 50-50. That's a pretty good... This is not like a batting average. You don't want someone that's hit 300 is not good. It's not baseball. Alarm just went off. I've been snoozing since 7:40 this morning. I haven't gone to that other screen to shut it off. That's really true. Like every 12 minutes or something, this
makes
thing
the
keeps...
worst sleep ever, by the way.
No, I'm saying I haven't snoozed. I just haven't gone to that screen and turned it off. And my whole morning it's been... Because I've been on the phone with OCISA. And then here's the latest. Sources say Riley, okay, this was Monday. Riley is signing this minute and will be announced tonight or tomorrow. And Rashad Samples is coming too. Those two are huge hires for offense and recruiting.
Rashad Samples went to Arizona State. Is that right?
Now I'm starting to think, I hope his source isn't listening to this.
Uh-oh.
He'll put two and two together. Maybe I should stop. And then the most recent was, this was yesterday. Riley, by end of day tomorrow, meaning today.
Right.
Yep. And then today it is, he's saying it's Bobby Petrino now. That's today.
Well.
So, I don't know. I don't even know where to go with all that. But that is, the reason I read that, and that's also been, not coincidentally, mind you, where the message boards and various A&M social media and everything's been in the last few days. And let's not forget, it was also, I was told by many people that from credible sources, I've had, and I'm going to use the voice, and this is, somebody's voice that we know.
Hey.
Oh, tell you what, they were saying, that's our subside. They're like, it's Grimes. It's been Grimes for a while from Baylor. It's done deal. Everybody's told me. I had 3 different, big time people tell me today it's Grimes. It's been Grimes for a month. He was never a candidate. And not that Jeff Grimes couldn't come to A&M and do a hell of a job. He was never a candidate for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't know if he was a candidate, if he was a fit. Number two, he wasn't ever leaving Baylor. So, like, he's going to stay there and get a head job. So, Grimes was the guy when he wasn't, and that was allegedly done. About a week ago, we had people on our boards that everybody listens to saying it was Heartline and Samples, which was never a thing. Never a thing. Heartline, I confirmed 0.0 communication. Very early, it was Kendall Briles. Never a thing. Never looked at. So there's been a lot of misinformation. And I said all along, the correct info was Riley and Longo were definitely two candidates. Mullen was definitely contacted. What I don't know is how far along the Mullen things went, because I've confirmed since in the last few days here, since my Monday update. Let's say, let's get this alarm turned off.
Good.
2 of them turned off. Since about that time, I've confirmed that Mullen has. Now, can Mullen be pulled back? I don't think so, but he basically is going to not coach this year. South Carolina was a possibility. A&M was a possibility. And Auburn was a possibility. I don't know who was going to offer him out of those. I don't know who would have taken him, but it's my understanding that he made it clear that he's going to go ahead and do TV in one more year at least. I'm sure he's getting paid by Florida. He's probably getting paid good by TV. Why, probably a family thing if I had to guess. I'm speculating there. Hey, husband, dad gets to be home for once. Longo, as everyone knows, has taken Wisconsin. And Riley, I believe, is going to stay at TCU or be the head coach at North Texas. So here's the Riley thing. Remember, what was it? Yeah, was it Monday I was sitting in here? Did we do a luchador Sunday, or was it Monday we were sitting in here? And I kept saying people are wrong. And that was the day that the Garrett Riley stuff being imminent was coming out. People are wrong. It's not Garrett Riley. It's not signed. Maybe even yesterday said people have been, or whatever day I was on last, people are wrong with this. And my point was about Riley. It's not him, because sometime in the last few days, Riley, and I don't even know if he was offered the job, but I do know he was a real candidate, a strong candidate, let's say. He's going to either, first of all, he wants to wait till after the playoffs. That doesn't fit with A&M. And before you say, oh, no, if you can get him, you wait. Well, I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. He was going to wait through the playoffs, which is understandable. And the North Texas job, for whatever reason, is very appealing to him. So you might think it's not, but I'm just telling you, to him, it's very appealing. If he gets that job, he probably leaves TCU for it. So if you're A&M, if you got a signed contract and you or an agreement, I don't even know if you do it for an agreement, but if you got a contract signed, you can wait till after the playoffs. It would suck. Early signing date, transfer portal, very important time. Right. And with how much you were going to pay your next OC, it's like, hey, we're paying you $6+ million or so over 3 years. Like, you need to leave whatever job you're at and come. But if you had it signed, then we can have an argument. But you're talking about a guy that wouldn't agree to, doesn't want to decide until later what he's going to do. And then I think, you get into that, somebody will say, well, does that mean he thinks TCU is a better job? No, he's at a place where he's probably launching pads in another year anyway, if not in another month. And the two don't mesh. Mm-hmm. The two don't mesh. And I know it's like, yeah, if you knew for a fact that was your guy and that you were getting him, it's a different story. Then you have to go, okay, can we ride out early signing date and the portal? It would be a little more of there are ways around that in the behind-the-scenes conversation. So, but if you don't know hell no. You may wait till January, and they might win and play for the championship. And you're waiting a week, 10 days into January, and then get told, hey, I'm going to take North Texas, or no, I'm going to stay. The two don't match up. They had a deal, like Elko kind of had the job for like a month during that DC search. But he didn't sign the contract, and then Aranda thrust himself into that. And now everybody understands. People didn't get it then. Why would he leave? People hated working for Ed Ogeron. Right. So that was what that was. And then LSU begged him back, and the rest is history. Had he just run in and signed something, who knows what would happen. But Elko was going to take the job, but wanted to finish their season at Notre Dame. Finish the year for Brian Kelly like he started. And there's honor in that, and people understand that in the profession. It's not ideal for everyone's timetable, but if you know that you're going to get someone, but that's not the case with this. I would caution Nuño because I talked about Petrino. I've talked about him Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as is always the case, you get the other, now all of a sudden you get the Petrino stuff coming out of various sources. I'm getting text about it from other people in media. Hey, are you hearing the same thing I am about Petrino? I'm like, I said that Monday. I said it on the Luchador like 3 weeks ago.
You did.
Now I'm getting text. Hey, are you hearing the same thing I'm hearing? Yeah, because you're hearing it
from me
because I started it. And I also never said he was the only candidate. I've never said he is the guy.
Right.
A lot of people have reacted like as if last night I said he is the guy. It could end up happening that way. Do I expect it? I don't know if I expect that. I wouldn't say I expect it. But I said it the other day. There is another candidate or two that are interesting that I'm not going to name yet.
Intriguing.
Those are still there. Yeah, to me.
Yeah.
So, to everyone, I don't know. But remember this. Remember the D.C. search, and you weren't here then. You probably were following it from afar when they hired John Chavis. When Kevin Sumlin had a very important, it was not all that dissimilar because it was kind of like, hey, he's got to get this one right. Defense had been Sumlin's Achilles heel. Defense, inability to stop the run, and don't make the comparison to this year because it's totally different because this defense still led the nation in pass defense and they didn't give up a ton of points. We know what it was like back then. And he had to make that hire or that he wasn't going to succeed here. And it kind of feels like this OC hire feels like. The importance of it to Jimbo Fisher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had a plane going out to get Pat Narduzzi at Michigan State, which would have been a home run hire. And everybody, he ended up, hey, I want to pursue head coaching jobs. He ended up getting the Pitt job, it was Pitt. I think it was Pitt straight from there. But that deal was done very early, and then it drug out. And then John Chavis emerged as a candidate. And everyone was frustrated. Was it Narduzzi? Was it Bud Foster? Was it, can we? And there was all this focus, and John Chavis emerged, and nobody would have believed it. So I kept that quiet for quite a while, and then started to let that out. And it ended up being Chavis. And everyone, including myself, thought it was an absolute home run hire. Who would have ever thought you could get John Chavis from LSU? And it ended up being a disaster. And because one of the guys that they would have hired, one of the combos that I wrote about was DJ Durkin and Greg Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Madison was at Michigan. Durkin had just left Florida. That was a combo that would have come to A&M. Durkin was very young at the time. Madison was like an old veteran D-line coach, co-coordinator. That was going to be the deal at A&M. And that didn't happen. The irony here is that Durkin's here now. John Chavis. People weren't going to be excited about Durkin Madison. You could tell they were already, who's Durkin? Now they get Chavis. There was a celebration in the streets. I wrote the article. They still talk about it. I started the night. I titled it like The Night Before Chavis or something because it was around Christmas time. It was a disaster. This one, the process feels similar. And everybody was focused on Garrett Riley, fans. And he was certainly a candidate. So much so focused that everybody got, they wanted to believe it. So when a rumor came out, everybody took it and sprinted with it. The same thing with Hartline, but that only lasted for like a day. Brian Hartline, he's never called plays. And everybody was fired up about him being an OC because he's a known recruiter.
Right.
Crazy stuff right now. So I think people just sit tight. I would bet money there will be, there will be a couple more names emerging here. And just to follow up, though, I think Petrino is a realistic candidate. But everybody jumped 5 steps with that one.
Let's talk about that when we come back, and I have some some linebacker questions for you. Right now we're talking about Costa Vida. We've told you about the Ryan Targash combo. Hopefully you've jumped on that. They took advantage of that NIL opportunity, and it's a great combination there. Grilled chicken quesadilla, side of ranch, and a large drink for $12.99, not available through online ordering. You know all about Costa Vida. Get your breakfast there, your lunch there, your dinner there. They've got so many great little entrees. The shrimp tacos with mango salsa. They got the chips and the queso. They got the raspberry chipotle chicken salad. They've got key lime pie, tres leches, flan, cinnamon tortilla, Costa cookies. They got it all out there, and it's just a really good food. Great value when you go there. Go say hi to Holly, who brought this vision here to Aggie Land. She's a great Aggie and loves A&M athletics, so she's a proud sponsor of many things that they do out there. It is Costa Vida in South College Station, 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Check it out, Costa Vida.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Winter Wonderland at Travis Fields is this Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. Come out to this free, family-friendly event for fun activities for everyone to enjoy. Living Hope Bryan presents the Bryan Midtown Christmas Festival this Saturday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Join them for campfires, live music, games, and treats. The Taylor Check Chorus is performing at Caldwell Brethren Church on Sunday during worship at 10:30 a.m. You and your family are invited to this special Christmas performance. Brian High's organization, Vikings Kicking Out Tobacco, invites you to Jingle Bell Jump, a charity event benefiting Family Promise. Come out to Jumping World on Saturday, December 17th from 5 to 9 p.m. Get into the holiday spirit with Christmas 97.3 FM, playing your favorite holiday hits 24/7 through the entire holiday season. Christmas 97.3 FM. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-936-9033. 800-936-9033. 800-936-9033.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Due to the Texas heat, humidity, not to mention the multiple hail and windstorms, most roofs don't last their full lifetime. But since 2006, AmeriStarRoofing.com has been helping Texans protect their homes from age and storm-related damages, and they have multiple adjusters on staff working directly with your insurance company to ensure that you get the coverage you need to make your home look new again. Call AmeriStar Roofing now to schedule your free roof inspection. 979-446-9874. AmeriStarRoofing.com.
Everything in life has rules, and the Zone has prize rules for all contesting. You can check them out at zone1150.com. You may know you can win once every 30 days. There can only be one winner per household per month. You have 30 days to pick up your prizes. You have to be 18 or older to win. You have to present a legal ID to claim your prize. All prizes are non-transferable and not for resale. To make sure you do know all the rules, or if you have any questions about the prize rules, make sure to visit zone1150.com.
Zone1150.com.
All right, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy with us. Billy, so when I go through some of these names on the air that have been mentioned, you know, official candidates, non-official candidates, and I start breaking things down, it doesn't mean that I or you co-sign the name. Like, I think we're so early in this process that, like, I'm gathering information about what I think. I don't know. So you mentioned a name like Bobby Petrino. I can look at last season and be like, oh, they didn't score very many points. But then in that same search, I can look at the year before, they were scoring 30s and 40s, right?
You can look at his career.
Or you can look at his career.
I mean, I get the pros and cons on that. When people are trying to make it, David, like some guy said, I forget what he said, what his verbiage was, but it was basically that I was trying to lower everyone's expectation. I'm just telling you what the hell's going on. So if you guys have a problem with it, don't friggin' listen. Don't read it. Go about your damn day. Look up in a couple days in a week, have an OC, and then you can break it down if it bothers you that much. My job that you guys want from me is to kind of keep you informed along the way without screwing things up for A&M. That's what I do. I walk that balance. I find that balance. I do a good job of it. And it helps y'all, and it doesn't hurt A&M. I don't give a damn what, like the 1%, 2% of people, if that number grows to 5, I don't give a what you think. I give a damn about what the 98 to 95 to 98% think, and I give a damn about how it affects A&M. So for the vocal, tiny minority, make no mistake, I don't care about you. Other than this rant to let you know I don't care about you, you affect my day none. I will not let you distract me from bringing the 95 to 98% what they want, which is information on a search. And you guys can all debate, and it is fair game to talk about every name out there. I'd be more interested to hear names that you guys think. I'll pass them along as best I can. And that may sound silly. That's a real actual thing in this world of coaching. People that have people's ears, you bring up names, they go, More often than not, the overwhelming majority of the time when I've tried to do that, people know. Funny story. I brought up Chavis in whatever. I'm gonna read y'all this. People will get a kick out of this. I still have it saved in notes. So I made a note from a long time ago. Let me find it. Did I delete it? Please tell me I didn't delete it. The coordinator search from years ago, I said, it's on here somewhere. Please tell me. Damn it. We may have deleted it.
Do you want to look for it during the break?
It was from, no, it's okay. It was from years ago, and it was the names, and it was all the names that we just talked about, a lot of them. And I had a little comment by each. The funny thing is, the one by Venables said toxic personality or something. It was like, and then it said not good. That was when he was at Clemson. That's right. OU's head coach now. Wait till they get some losses up there, and let's see how that deal works out with him. I've never been a fan of it. You know that. From the day he was hired, I said they're going to have a problem. And they can talk about A&M at 5-7. That's fine. If we're national college football people right now breaking down OU, this year was a disaster for them. They went 6-6, and there are a lot of things you look at and question up there in Norman. And their fans can be fooled, but the future is very questionable under him right now, even after 1 year. Now, with that said, by John Chavis, I literally have a dash by it, and it says, per my source that was very plugged in, not happening. As in, no chance in hell you're getting him. And then it pops up. So sometimes, even the experts get it wrong.
Yep.
And sometimes even the experts miss out. So, yeah, talk about all these candidates, but don't misconstrue what I said yesterday because I eliminated people. And I don't know that Phil Longo, I don't know if Garrett Riley was here and Phil Longo was here. That was kind of my vibe, but I don't know if that was that. But when Longo left for Wisconsin, what you hope is that A&M had the chance, and this is the part where I'm trying to dig into. You hope that A&M had the chance to say, we got to take him now or he's going to leave, and decided not to make the push. That's what I hope. You hope he wasn't like, hey, if we either need one of these, 2 or 3, and we're happy with any of them, or we want him, then him, then him, and then all of a sudden he was gone to Madison. You hope that's not the case. That would be the thing I'm most interested right now in finding out is did they look at Longo and go, let's
Slow
hold this
down.
off.
Yeah.
So that part I don't know, and that part would be interesting to me because then you get more of a feel for like where they're at today in terms of the search.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with more as TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers.
It's the one show in the world that talks Aggie football, Star Wars, and progressive overload at the gym. It's TexAgs Radio with Dave, Olin, and Billy here on the Zone.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and Aggie broadcast sponsors, Pioneer Steel, Rudy's Barbecue, The Sleep Station, and Prosperity Bank. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Grab your first cup of coffee weekday mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor right here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Plus, online at RadioAggieland.com. WC Tractor, your local award-winning Kubota in New Holland. Do you have questions? Look them up online at WCTractor.com. That's WCTractor.com. You can also call them at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor.
Question: would you pick a chain barbecue place over a hometown joint? Do you root for East Coast universities instead of the local team? Nah, then why choose a big Wall Street bank? A&B started in 1892. 5 generations later, we're still owned and operated by the same Texas family. We support this community. We value your privacy. We make quick decisions, and we hate red tape. We answer to you, not Wall Street. Bank with A&B. Family owned, Texas proud. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, I'm Jared McLeod with The Sleep Station. For years, Alicia and I have been telling you about the benefits of a new Tempur-Pedic mattress. But don't just take our word for it. Listen to our friend and Aggie wide receiver, Chase Lane.
If you feel as beat up at the end of the day as I do after a game, you need a Tempur-Pedic mattress from The Sleep Station. It alleviates all my soreness, and I always wake up feeling refreshed.
With interest-free financing in 2 convenient locations, you can purchase your Tempur-Pedic mattress today and sleep on it tonight. Aggie-owned, Aggie-operated. Visit thesleepstation.com.
The College Football Playoff on ESPN Radio. The top-ranked undefeated defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs head to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl to face the 11-1 Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ohio State playing Georgia in Atlanta. You talk about energy in a building.
You can hear the college football semifinals and national championship game right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy's with us. Billy, let's talk a little bit about the linebacker room. I know there was the Edge Cooper stuff that broke last night. Not broke. That was on social media. Just overall, that linebacker room, we knew was a position that they needed to add and get better. But what are the ramifications of having a completely different looking linebacker room? Because at this point, that's what it feels like it's going to be.
Say that again, because I think I may have to.
Well, Edge Cooper's in his own category because of what he put. So however that plays out.
Big part of it. I mean, it's a massive part of it.
But he is, as of right now, not in a transfer portal.
Yes, he's not.
But that room is going to look different next year, completely different with some of the departures. I mean, it's not – you're making that face like –
Yeah, like Edge – the reason Edge Cooper is such a big deal is I would say, like, what did that room lose? Andre White. That's it.
But you have to add pieces.
No question. But you're saying it looks different. they're not losing, in my opinion, they're not losing anything if they keep Edgerrin Cooper that really matters. And that's not, it is a knock on Andre White from the standpoint of I don't think he was very impactful this season on the field. It is what it is. Like, I thought he would be more impactful. I don't think he was a bad player at all. He was hurt, unfortunately. He got hurt, and I thought it hurt the defense when he got hurt and went down. He missed a lot of games thereafter. I think he got hurt in game 1 against Sam and missed App State, and they felt you felt not having a senior linebacker out there. And then it took Chris Russell a few weeks to get going, and finally against Arkansas, you saw him start making some plays there, and he really would flash from time to time. But linebacker was not a strength this year by any means, and that's part of why the defense struggled. It's not a coincidence that you've got. Look at your secondary. You flipped Antonio Johnson from Tennessee, and then you beat Alabama for him. Damani Richardson was a top 10 player in the state. Jalen Jones was a 5-star. Some of the backups were very highly recruited guys, including these true freshmen. Denver Harris when he was out there, Bryce Anderson, Jacoby Matthews. These are highly, highly regarded guys playing around in your secondary. D-line goes without saying. Linebacker, you don't have that. You don't have anyone on campus that fit that mold. That has been a position where they've struggled in recruiting. That's why Anthony Hill, who's still in play, is such a big deal. It's why Perkins was such a big deal. But Edgerrin Cooper is a guy that has developed into a good SEC linebacker. Mm-hmm. And I think he has the chance to be a really good SEC linebacker and then an NFL draft pick. But I don't think he's there today. He's not there today. Yeah. He wasn't on all SEC teams. He's not projected to get drafted very high, but he has the potential to. So him going in the portal, I worry for him that would be a significant mistake, because you go somewhere else. And they tried to poach Antonio Johnson. He's a great example. Alabama tried to poach him last year. They did everything they could, and I think that's where a lot of the animosity between Nick Saban and Jimbo came from. They tried actively to go rip Antonio Johnson. And it's much like Edgerrin Cooper, which you guys didn't know about last year because you didn't need to know, because it happened in a span of about 24 hours where AJ was almost gone. Like, he was almost in the portal. And if you go to Alabama or anywhere for your 1 year, if you're like Edgerrin Cooper and you have 1 year play and you go anywhere else, you put it in that new staff that you don't really know. You think you know because they're telling you everything you want to hear or whatever. You put it in their hands. You put your future in the hands of you go into this world of the great unknown. What you have at A&M is known. And I know they didn't win nearly as much as you want this year, but when you're going to be a senior, you have control over that. You can go take control of that locker room. You can go take control of that offseason. Not just him, but other guys like McKinley Jackson, who decided to come back. Guys like that, you can go, like a Connor Wigman, you can go take control and make that these guys can make that their team. Evan Stewart. That's what you have the ability to do now. Bryce Foster, Deuce Fothery, these veterans now, that you can transform that culture however you want. Suddenly you have the power to do that. Hey, this wasn't good enough, so here's what we're going to do. Okay? You go somewhere else, you're just a newcomer. You're not a freshman. You've played in the SEC. You're a newcomer. You sprain an ankle during camp, their asses are moving on without you. And your depth. They sign you. You need linebackers. You need safeties. You need whatever. They sign you. Hopefully he starts. If not, we got depth. That's the way this portal thing works for veterans. And you're unfamiliar with a system. You might not fit perfectly in there. You don't. It's a lot of questions. But with Edgerrin Cooper, let's say he were to stay at A&M, and it sounds like he's working through it. I'm not saying which way it's going. I think it's very much like right here, right now. It could go either way. Let's say he works through it and stays in Aggieland. This is a guy that I think with an off season in the weight room, gained some pounds. He still looks very rangy, athletic. He has a lot of weight to add to that frame that he can add. He can really run. I think he goes out there and plays, and this is where staying means so much to me. Plays within himself, doesn't overrun plays, because his highlights are here. I think Edgerrin Cooper, as a senior that's played a ton of football and has a real serious offseason, I think he could be damn good SEC linebacker and go move way up in the draft. Because I talk to scouts, and that's what they want to see. They want to see a guy fill out, and they want to see a guy that, like, his instincts are really good. His physicality, his chasing ability, his ability to run things down, his tackling ability, all those things are really good. And if he just now plays like a senior that knows where he needs to be on every snap and understands it, and he doesn't have to think in this system, I think he can go ball out. The Aggies need him. Even if he was the exact player he was this year, which I don't think he will be. I think he'll show significant improvement. Even if he made no improvement at all, he's still a vital piece to keep because of what you said. There's not much. And you're going to have freshmen play. Even with Edgerrin, they got to go in the portal and get a guy that can play. That's why keeping Andre White would have helped. That's why keeping Chris Russell is important.
Yeah. And this
Martrell, Russell, and Cooper. That's what you got right now.
And then this weekend, hopefully you're adding a guy or two, right? Because I
think they have to go portal and add.
But like this weekend, like quickly.
You'd love to. I mean, it doesn't matter when, right? But it would, it would be a huge.
I'm just saying, I feel like this is, if we're going to see some movement, we're going to start seeing it Saturday, Sunday.
And the reality, too, is this. When you lose a guy, you better go add one of equal talent or more. It's an opportunity. It's like I say with assistant coaches. Guy leaves, opportunity to get better. Now you have to do it. It's not easy. But if you need a transfer portal linebacker and Edgerrin Cooper left, you better go out and find two of them. And you can go find somebody that's, it's not easy, though. Cooper's good. They need to keep him, no question about it. They want to keep him desperately. I mean, that they know what he can do as a player. He's a respected member of that defense without question. But you go out and you replace. Like when you lose a 5-star run, or like I say 5-star, Devon Achane, who's elite game-breaking talent in the backfield, then you need to go and get an elite game-breaking talent in the backfield. Now, freshman Ruben Owens is not going to be junior Devon Achane. We all get that. But your roster talent needs to maintain or improve every time. And when you lose a talent like Achane, you're not replacing him with Devon Achane, but you go get a 5-star running back. It's the best. Better example would be this. You lose L.J. Johnson to the portal, 5-star running back. Now, he didn't show as a 5-star. I think he still will be pretty good. You replace that with a 5-star running back talent in Ruben Owens. That you have to keep doing it. You lose to Miche Adelier, you're getting David Hicks. You have to, at the bare minimum,
yes.
At the bare minimum, that's what you have to do. Then you go up. So with this transfer portal, it's going to be really interesting to see. You don't want to just be filling voids. You want to be continuing to upgrade the talent on your roster. And now you've got two different avenues to do that.
Agree. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with one final segment. And, it's not just transfer portal this weekend. There's a lot of other stuff going on. It's TexAgs Radio.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The theater company of Bryan College Station presents Titanic the Musical. Performances run through Sunday. Purchase tickets online. Voices for Children is hosting its annual 12 Days of Giving through December 12th. Check out today's story on their Facebook page and donate online at vfcbrazos.org/12days. This is the final week to adopt a BCS Salvation Army Christmas Angel. Angel trees are located at all Blue Baker restaurants and Post Oak Mall. Adoptions can also be made online at salvationarmybcs.org. United Way of the Brazos Valley is hosting 7 book giveaway events this month.
The employer.
Hey, we're here with Jason Rollo. What makes Rollo Insurance so unique?
Well, we're a business ourselves, and we grew from a notepad. And when you come from the perspective of doing it yourself, I think you understand what business owners face, because we face the same things. Technology needs, dealing with those who are clients, as well as dealing with employees, agents. We understand because we're in the same boat, and that gives us a unique perspective in dealing with people and trying to help them.
Visit them at their headquarters in College Station or online at RolloInsurance.com.
Holiday sparkle starts at Montelongo's Fine Jewelry. The Montelongo's Fine Jewelry family has been helping